There are still teachers available, so. 3, 4, 5. We still have 5 minutes. Thank you all for coming.
Not on yet. Microphone's not on, Dan, just FYI. It was an accident. Well, I'm glad you weren't in the accident.
Good evening, everyone.
What was that? Who was
Good
that?
evening. This is Kay John with Q-Tech Rock.
Oh, hi.
Good evening. Did I do the right thing? Email you first.
And I wouldn't send it to the whole board, but I was just trying to get it to Dan before.
Yeah. It's just the email pictures and then his spreadsheet. Yeah, okay.
That is correct. And I think Brett with benchmark is on it as well, correct?
No, just plug this in.
For us to reference.
Yeah.
What is that?
So I made a little spreadsheet about our budgets, revenue and expenditures over the last.
Okay. We'll discuss it.
Yeah. Well, actually, I pulled all the data off. They changed the website.
Oh,
Information.
I've done the same thing. Oh, I don't know where, I wonder if I put it in this.
Dan is chairing.
You're gonna run it. Yeah, we'll rest you. Take my phone. Just wanna make sure I'm prepared if you need me to do it.
All right.
Hello.
I run all of my districts except for this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is it
Some have
coming?
the chair, some have manager, some have vice chair.
Testing,
Doesn't
testing.
really matter.
It's not bad. Yeah. Hello.
Run it.
Do you need to see ID or anything?
No.
Yes, and your birth certificate.
Now we need photographs of your children.
I'm sorry.
Now we need photographs of your children.
Yes.
And you'll have a vacation.
And the blood tests and everything else.
There are 2 chairs available. 3 chairs available, 4 chairs available. Actually, we'll probably turn this one around so somebody can sit here. No, maybe at 9 o'clock.
I have donuts too.
No,
Yeah, that might be a better fit,
here, pass me 2 more for Dan.
right?
On the way out the door.
For Dan.
in my bag.
5:58. Delightful to see all you residents. Thank you for coming. Even if you're going to be here to complain.
Everyone's allowed to,
That's right.
yeah. Or even not a complaint, but there's sometimes.
Concern.
things we don't know about, right?
Yeah.
We have the password here.
No, he's on vacation.
On vacation. His report's in the agenda.
Hi, this is Kay John again. Can I be heard?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, hi again. Just wanted to let everyone know that Mike had he had a 4 o'clock board meeting, so he's going to be joining as soon as that's finished.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Do you have the password?
I'm
Or you're looking?
sending it to you momentarily. Just texted it to you.
I know. No. That's why I eat dinner before I can.
I guess so. All right.
6
it is
o'clock.
6 PM. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Harmony Community Development District. It will be,
Today is.
oh yeah, okay. Thank you, everybody. It's my first time chairing a meeting, so hopefully it's not too bumpy. Today is July the 27th. It is 6:02 or 6 PM. And I will start with roll call. Supervisor Castle,
Present.
Supervisor Chakanis, here. Supervisor Phillips.
Present.
Supervisor Leet is here, and is Supervisor Kramer is possibly joining on Zoom, but is away. So either way, we do have a quorum.
Is she not here yet, though?
She's not on Zoom right now, no.
When you see her, just announce it, please.
Okay. All right, so we do have a quorum. We'll pull up my copy of the agenda here. First item after roll call is audience comments. So anyone that's here in the audience or on Zoom, you can have up to 3 minutes to address the board. Let us know of your concerns. We might be able to address some of those items later in the meeting as they come up in the agenda, but either way, this is your chance to address the board as a whole. So do we have any audience comments tonight?
Oh my God.
Okay, I have one.
Please come.
If you'd like to, yeah, we have,
There's a chair right there.
okay, yes, there's a,
You come right up here to the microphone.
Yeah, we have
that way
a-
We can hear you for the record.
You have to,
Is loud, he'll be able to hear.
no, it has to go into the microphone.
Oh,
We
okay.
can hear you, but the microphone has to hear you. So you need to state your
Yep.
name and your address.
Okay.
And then you're,
Phoenicia Bosky, 6805 Sundrop Street.
Vivian?
No, Phoenicia.
Vivian.
F is in Frank, INISIA.
Okay.
Last name Bosky, B is in boy, OSKEY.
address.
6805 Sundrop Street.
Okay.
Owner.
Okay.
Isn't that important?
It could
That
be.
this is basically for owners?
This is for anyone who lives in the
He
district.
lives, but,
Renters, it doesn't matter.
right, but those that pay for the CDD, they're the owners, correct?
Well, the
Exact- yeah.
renters may pay through their rent, but this is also open to the public, so
Yeah,
anyone
That's fine
may
open to
attend.
the public, but it basically has to do with the owners that are actually paying the CDD.
Okay.
Okay, thank
Sure.
you. Okay, this is the first meeting I've attended, even though I've been living here for about 7 years.
well, thank you for coming.
Yeah. I usually read the minutes that are, posted later. My question is just exactly what is this CDD that we are paying? Who started it?
Can I address that?
Okay, well, you have up to 3 minutes. Is there anything else you wanted to, I mean, it doesn't really work as a back and forth. Those can be stretched, and we got a bunch of people, and a bunch of items. on the
Okay,
agenda,
well,
so-
basically, that's what I really want to know. Who started this CDD and why are we paying for it?
Sure. And it was, I think, in the minutes from last meeting, I discussed that, right? Yeah. So before, just in case anybody else has the same concern, after we get all the questions and comments, I'll address that.
Okay. All right, so, yeah, we've known that, Supervisor Castle will, give a synopsis of that. Were there, any other comments you'd like to have, or any other comments from, any other,
No, I'm sure there would probably be more, but that was the basic thing we really wanted to know about.
Just so
Okay.
you know, this is audience comments, so we don't take comments during the rest of the meeting.
Right. I
This is the
understand.
time. Okay,
So I'll have to keep attending meetings if I want to make more comments.
right.
But you can always call any of us.
Yeah,
You can
that-
call
what's-
or email any of us at any time.
right, what's special of this, once a month we have these public meetings, so anyone can address the entire board, staff, and everything else at once. Your lines of communication are always open to us. Email will be the best.
Well, I've seen the lines of communication on Facebook,
I
and
wouldn't
they're
prioritize
really not all that good. So I
Not-
thought, well, it's time to
Yeah.
show up.
Not
Face-
face,
uh,
Facebook is a private group run by
Yeah.
one individual and it's not official for the CDD.
Yeah, well, I see what banner that goes back and forth, which is not good.
Right, okay,
Yeah.
well,
Interesting at best.
Well, okay, you can use that.
I'm not a member of that group, so I don't even see what it said.
Well, it's the Harmony Residence Forum.
I
so
know,
it's
but
open
you
to
have
all
to
the
apply
residents.
for membership.
Right.
okay, so you've had,
What the CDD is right now.
Well, I
I think we
can.
have a- I think it was pretty short agenda.
yeah,
Okay.
well,
All right.
Okay,
So the CDD, the concept of a CDD, Community Development District, was formed when developers approach the legislature, the state legislature, to be able to pass off the cost of building roads and sewers and bringing electric in and all of that kind of thing. They wanted to pass the costs of, or really alleyways and things that they were big expenses for them to the owners, but not in the price of the house, through a bond that when you bought the house, you were obligated to pay, and those bonds carried interest. So it was a way for the developer to kind of fob the cost of development onto the homeowners in a kind of,
Debt service.
yeah, through debt service. You know, some people could think of it as underhanded because most people don't really understand what it is. However, what the CDD board does is make sure that our physical infrastructure, we have lots of facilities in the community. We have 2 pools, we have boats, we have lakes and ponds we have to maintain. We have lots of landscaping, we have streetlights, and that irrigation has to be irrigated. And so we have lots of costs associated with all of these facilities. So we also have to manage the policies for access to those facilities. So this body maintains the physical and fiscal, meaning financial infrastructure that we were sort of handed over to us from the developer. Does that make sense?
does make sense. Yes.
Okay.
So can I ask a follow-up question to that?
No, not.
You,
yeah.
you,
So
yeah,
you had
she's
3
done
minutes.
now.
Yeah,
Thank
Anisha,
you,
thank
Benicia.
We need this chair. up here by the table.
Yep.
Do you mind putting it
So,
up?
yes, you're back there, you had your hand up, if you'd like to come forward.
Gentlemen, there are some more chairs in the second door in the garage, the second door on the left, if you want to bring out some more chairs. You can even set up behind us if you like. If you could state your name and your address. for the
Yeah,
record.
sure. Peter Lukens, 3317 Schoolhouse Road. So if you pay off your bond, are there still additional dues and fees that you are, and what are those?
Those are operations and maintenance, right?
Yes.
So there's the debt service portion.
Yep.
And then the debt service portion has a fixed interest on it, and eventually it'll go away. We have one bond that's going to go away in 2032, and the other one's 2036.
They're individual bonds, right? So you can pay off your own individual bonds.
Yes.
Okay.
And then you're saving the interest you would be paying on it through all those years.
Yep, yep.
But the operations and maintenance is for the regular upkeep.
And what are those fixed costs and?
Oh, my goodness. They include everything from all the landscaping, the irrigation, the streetlights, the
No, I mean, what's the
parks
actual
and
cost in
maintenance.
dollars?
in dollars.
Does it change annually or does it change every month?
No, it would be annual.
Yep.
Once we set the budget.
Yep.
But that budget can change every year.
Sure,
during the
yeah,
budget cycle.
absolutely.
But no, once it's fixed, they're gonna adopt their budget next month. Once that budget is set, that's what it is.
And what are they this year monthly?
I don't know.
It-
I'd have to look at your.
Yeah, there's actually an entire chart. It varies mostly by property size, and it's actually broken down to what the ongoing operations and maintenance is compared to the bond service. So.
And
if
where
you
can we
paid-
find that?
It's,
Agenda.
It's
Yeah,
in the agenda.
Okay.
You can have this copy.
It was in the letter.
That was the last 8 years.
That's not the
But that's
budget.
not-
That's,
That, well, it's.
Yeah, what you can do is if you can't, it's hard to differentiate on the sheet that's in the budget. So what you can do is you can email me or call our office. The assessment department will get your address,
Okay.
they'll look it up and they'll tell you exactly what you're paying for your debt.
Mhm.
And then they'll tell you what the operation and maintenance. is.
Awesome.
yeah. Do you have any idea what your neighborhood is? Like, there's like A1,
Road.
B. I think you're in C1. Do you know your lot width? 80 feet?
I'm not sure off the top of my head. No.
So your operations and maintenance was $1,847, and it's going to be, well, if we pass the budget, $2,133.
For the
That's
year.
operations for the year.
That's
Okay.
annual.
Yeah.
It's all annual and it's
Yeah.
collected on your tax bill.
Okay. The only other follow-up question I have is, what is the standard form of communication? We mentioned that the Facebook group is not official, but I'm not getting, at least maybe it's because I'm not signed up for something, but like in the instance of the road paving, for example, like we didn't get any notifications about what dates were, things were happening and when we need to be prepared and,
CDDs are public.
Uh-huh.
So we don't have any residential information on any resident. That's more of an HOA because they're private, because you're then subject to public records laws. So anything that we put out would be on the CDD website. As far as the alleyway paving, the residents that were on those specific alleyways got notifications,
how.
but the rest, I think what they do, put them in their mailboxes and
They were supposed to have,
Yeah.
we understand that there were some,
people did not.
There
get
were
them,
glitches.
but
Yeah,
Yeah,
we didn't.
that's how it should have gone.
Because it's illegal to put
Phys-
notifications in the mailbox.
Well, unless
In
it's
their
mailed,
mailbox.
unless it's mailed.
Correct.
It was supposed to be on the
And
doors.
the door.
Hangers,
Yeah, that's, I think, what we had.
prominent.
Yeah, unfortunately, that whole process, and this is just my personal opinion, it's not the opinion of the board, but I don't feel it was handled very
Yeah,
well.
and that, that's not consequential for me. It was just an example. I'm just trying to figure out how can I get better informed about whether it's through email or through mail or whatever.
HarmonyCD.org.
Only the
Yeah,
website.
we did not send that to you.
So there's no proactive communication. It's only,
well, there are notices like the issue that we're gonna be addressing later with the budget adoption was originally going to be tonight, and just the official notification for that is through US Postal Service.
Correct.
So you'd be getting that official notification of here's where the budget is, public meeting, 6 PM, here's where to show up.
Could
And
there-
since there were issues with that getting to everybody, we're now needing to delay it to the 24th of August. So as far as official, communication, there are those mailers that go out for, the budget announcements. There are also notifications in, I believe, the Osceola News Gazette, as a public newspaper that we put, announcements for each monthly meeting. And
could email be a possibility? I mean, could you do
So
this, sir?
you can email any of us, and you can email the district manager, Angel.
Yeah.
But we can only respond to you individually. We can copy Angel, but we can't copy all because we are bound by sunshine laws, so we can't meet in private, that's what it would constitute.
Okay.
So there is no, and we have a brand new website, which has a lot of wrinkles to start with, but hopefully we'll be able to post some notifications. And then hopefully one board member or another can post something somewhere. Unfortunately, not everybody's on Facebook. So just something to let people know
Yeah, I'm
to
not on
go to the harmonycd.org website because there's some news or whatever. But we have gone over this 100 times with our attorney, with the district manager about being able to communicate more regularly.
Also recommend the meeting minutes are like really short and sweet, so if you're able to log on to the.
What?
Well, I mean,
Which are you looking at?
well, I mean, they're easy to kind of filter through and look for you want, like there's, the roading, the paving, so if you saw that, you'd be like,
Yeah.
maybe reach out to Angel, say, hey, when's this going on? Cause I'm in an alley, right?
Okay.
So I would just recommend that.
Yeah,
I
they're
try to
searchable.
Post up Facebook, but I get a little fast on here. I try to inform people of what's going on, because I know not everyone comes to this meeting,
Yep.
and not everyone gets on Zoom, and so it's a little wish-washy. But we're gonna-
Thank you.
best we can.
Thank you.
do we have any other comments from the audience here? And I see some other people joined on Zoom, so we're still in the audience comments portion. Way back there.
Can I just speak from here and yell?
Can you please,
Yeah.
well, people will make room to let you get.
Well, all of you have heard it, but I really do want it official on record. Because I sent it to all of you.
Name and address.
Mary Jane Sledge, 3181 Songbird Circle. I guess I've been doing budgets a long time, and the budget that was sent out doesn't have any explanation as to all these increases, 4 times as much, double on some lines. And because there's no communication being able to be discussed, how are you going to communicate that to people who are interested?
It's
We-
been in the minutes. So we had, I'm sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
well, let's see, every 3 minutes, so go ahead and
Well, I was here at the last meeting for maybe half the meeting. And like I said, I didn't get it, the letter originally. Multiple people in our community in 55 plus didn't get it.
It's on the agenda.
Okay, and you also need to make sure that 55 plus community, if you're putting stuff out on Facebook like this information today about the August 24th, I didn't know about it.
It's on the website.
Facebook page.
No, but that's what I'm saying. There's gotta be, if we're
All the
CDD
meetings are
paid.
Posted on the website, the annual, the whole.
No,
annual
I know that,
meetings.
but there was a notice today about the change of
It
the
just
budget.
happened this week.
No, I know, but we didn't know that.
It was posted on Facebook.
That's how I found out, was because my husband called me to tell me it was on Facebook. So if we're
Right.
going to communicate that way,
Yeah.
the 55 plus people need, whether I'll be volunteering to post what you want me to post on it, so that people in our community can get that. Because like I said, they didn't get a lot of the letters, but my concern is the multiple line items where, like landscaping, and no offense to the landscaper, but the irrigation, the continuous upping of additional bids and not sending the entire irrigation system out for bid instead of this piecemealing that we're doing is very frustrating to many of the people in our community in 55 plus, because a lot of people here live on fixed incomes. So I just want to make my point that I did send it to all of the members, the supervisors, about the double, the triple, and the quadruple line items that are on here, and they need explanation.
And I did respond twice.
You-
I did, and you did respond to me once, and I sent you a link to set up a meeting.
No, I can show you the only person I got it was from Curl.
That's
Carol?
me.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that. Yes,
And
and
I
I sent you a responded that we'll set up a time because there are other
Yes.
people in our community who would like to do that.
And I sent you a Calendly link so that you can interface with all your people and you can choose a date and a time.
Okay.
There aren't many in August, but there are a few. I'm going
Perfect.
on
The
vacation.
other thing I was gonna point out, because I was looking at your things too, so that I could explain them if you answered my email, is I think you were picking up the projected line to the 2024 budget rather than the 2023 budget.
Yeah, 2023 versus the 2024.
The budget?
Mhm.
Because
They,
the one you
well,
sent out,
the projected 2023.
on some of them happened in brief, and other
Right.
studies. Some of them, we didn't spend the money in 2023 because other things happened, so it's back on the budget for 2024.
So the only person I got an email from is you and you.
And I emailed you.
I don't have it,
Well, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Because I did email you back.
but I will send you some dates because I know there's a bunch of
Yes.
us that are here from that group that want to participate.
And if there's no dates, that fit you, just send me some proposed dates.
Okay.
I'm away from the 18th to the 28th of August, but I'm available.
So the first
before
couple
then.
weeks in August.
Yeah.
Okay,
But I did respond about the landscaping because we have to go through a bid process. We're required by state statute. And we hired our old landscaper who had increased his price because he was promising that he'd be better, but he wasn't better. So we had to go out to bid again. And then we got Benchmark, and Benchmark's bid was much higher, but they were still pretty much the lowest bid. So that's why our landscaping is higher. And then the irrigation thing is because our irrigation system was mostly turned off and because lots of things were broken.
right.
And so over the last, 10 years, instead of repairing, the areas were just turned off. Now they're responsible for maintaining our landscaping, and unless they are responsible for fixing and maintaining the irrigation, they will not guarantee our landscaping.
Yeah.
So we're kind of in a bind.
Yeah, I'll say that was an intentional choice of the board, because in years past, having the irrigation done separately or even managed by field services had been a potential source of conflict, and actually did lead to legal
Yes.
action between landscaper and CDD, who had been at the time responsible for irrigation. So based on that factors, it was a conscious choice of this board to kind of, when we're doing this bidding, include the irrigation with that, and that removes a potential pain point of having a conflict between landscapers and irrigation providers.
And I understand, it just seems like every time I look at the minutes or I come to a meeting, it's 20,000, it's 65,000, it's
Yeah.
40,000.
It's like a 20-plus-year-old irrigation.
No, I
system.
get it, but then
Yeah.
there should be a
It's
process
finally
to
being
to
fixed.
slowly go and fix it over so many years. It just seems like it's all being piecemeal.
Well, there's a pipe broken in the ground. all that water's
Mhm.
pouring out, so he has to fix it.
Yeah.
But if he fixes that one, but not the next one, the water's just gonna pour out of the ground there, and they're finding it as they go along.
Yeah.
It's not something that we knew all of it in the
And
beginning.
and we can't do a little this year and a little next year because it's all broken because it's 20 years old. It's like,
But our
you know,
water
all right, I'm gonna
system
replace
is
this
getting
window.
less when we're done.
Okay, well,
So-
let's,
Yes.
Sorry.
great to know. Thank you very much. Anyone else would like to, address the board?
Yes, please.
Please come.
Yes, I.
Microphone needs to hear
Yep.
you.
I got Mike Gresham. I'm over in Enclaves at 7417 Wingspan Way. Mainly just maintenance questions. So on your way in the neighborhood, I'm sure everybody that lives back here knows the two drainage inlets just west of Feathergrass have been clogged for like 6 months. Every time it rains,
West
There's
of
like-
where, I'm sorry.
Feathergrass Drive.
On 5-0.
In between Feathergrass and the driveway to the turf maintenance facility.
Is this the one
Golf
that-
maintenance facility.
In the golf meet.
It wasn't today, it was yesterday.
There's-
Well, yeah, you have your, please, you know, have your 3 minutes, so, is that your only concern, or is what?
No, I've got more. That, I don't
Okay.
think it's been addressed. I didn't see anybody out there working on it today and it comes up every time it rains. The two drainage inlets, as you're on your way in, right up here west of Feathergrass Road, they never drain. So there's always a lake in the road whenever it rains.
Put it backwards so it doesn't work.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's one thing. The other question that maybe we can answer when we get into the agenda is what's going on with Billy's Trail and north of it? I see that there's a contractor that tapped into our water main. I'm not sure if that's Toho, if that's a future development that's part of Harmony up there, which if it is, cool. If not,
It is.
is the Billy's Trail an easement? Why was it called Billy's Trail? Is it owned by Harmony?
Reach out to us because we can't answer all those questions tonight, but reach out to any of us. Our emails are on harmonycdd.org. I'll
So
give
can
you
I
my
get
business
everybody's
card.
Emails before we leave today, or is it gonna be in the agenda?
On the website, if you just go under
Here, I can
contacts.
take a picture of
take
this.
them into
No, it's
your
okay.
time.
They're right here.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and here's your
Yep.
card. You have
This
it.
is not my CDD address, but
Okay,
Carol is the expert on it. She knows that trail back and forth. and-
I was just walking and I'm wondering, I'm like, is this an easement? Who's paying for all this? You know, we've got thousands of feet of water main that are going up there. Anyways, while we're on pipe. I know we mentioned irrigation, it's 20 years old, it's broken, this, that, and the other thing. Is whoever installed it on a warranty? If it's 20 years old, then, you know, I understand we're the ones that are here now, but. We're all paying for it when everybody else 20 years prior didn't do their due diligence. So.
that was
uh,
developer.
That would be my question. Is it really on the homeowners to be liable for paying for broken pieces of pipe?
Unfortunately, yes, and just so, which we'll get into it later, the board was just notified today, I sent the email out, you know, the board just paid to have some clocks and stuff installed. On the 20th, they were all installed, on the 27th, they were vandalized. So now, we've got that subject that's gonna come up.
Rain
today, too.
sensors or clocks? Just the rain sensors.
It was,
I'm unaware.
Oh,
oh, I have it,
Okay.
I'll pull it up. Go
I'm pretty
ahead.
sure it was the rain sensors.
Yeah,
Yeah, we just got the new ones.
so we just found that out today. Again, I don't know how much it cost. I found out on our way here and I emailed it to everyone. So that again too, when stuff's put in and stuff's been vandalized, this isn't the first time either, when new stuff has been put in.
So when we go to put stuff in, like clocks
Mhm.
or the fence replacement. How does that go about? Is that brought to forum and we decide or is it just, hey, we want some clocks, so we're gonna spend the money?
No,
No. It was brought here, explained, you know, you don't want vegetation to die, right? Because then you look around and you've got all this dead turf and everything. So, the only thing that is done immediately off the cuff without.
Oh, you
coming
mean
to the
timers
board-
for irrigation?
Correct.
Okay, I thought you were
Yeah.
talking about clock towers.
Oh, no, 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 no.
All right, so that's a moot point. Anyways.
It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
deeply ingrained with all of us, yes.
Yeah, sorry, you mean timers, all right.
Yep.
Sorry.
The other thing, I noticed there's a couple double bollards around the sidewalks around here. Did anybody check if those are compliant? Cause you can't fit a double wide stroller between those bollards.
what bollards? Where are they?
The post mounted, they just
There.
put them in at all the
Very good.
entrances around here. They're the black poles that you put in a sidewalk.
can't drive your car. You can't
Oh,
drive
your
your
fault.
I don't know who installed those. We didn't do it.
So.
Where?
yeah, so
No idea. who is-
presumably it's for golf carts, but you could achieve the same thing with one bollard.
Where?
Enclaves
Sidewalks
and
here
over here, I think
and on the
it's
side.
That's your HOA is my guess because we didn't do it.
Okay, thank you. Am I okay on time?
Okay, well.
Yeah.
I mean, I have real issues of stuff.
Right, and I understand, and the only reason we try and, limit the back and forth is just, have
Yeah.
respect for everyone's time, but, please continue.
Yep, so the status of the main pool, bathrooms and locker rooms up there, they are terrible. I think it's probably already been a topic of discussion, so we don't need to harp on it, but every time I go up there, it smells like pee. All the bathrooms and the toilets are clogged in both the men's and women's. The main pool, so I live in
Ashley
enclaves,
Park.
which brings me to my next point.
No.
Yes, this pool right
No.
here up at the entrance by the golf
Swim
course.
club.
But yeah, swim club.
Well, and along with the enclaves, with us paying to be able to use that pool as well, can we remodel those? If we have more money from a whole brand new community going towards that.
No, we
That
don't,
money's been coming
We
in.
don't get one.
Yeah. No,
unfortunately.
It's always been coming from day one.
The developer was paying for it before you homeowners were paying for it, so we're not getting any extra money, unfortunately.
So where's,
The same place it's been going to all our expenses.
So swim club bathrooms.
Yes,
Okay, got
they're in
that.
terrible shape. Uh,
Yeah, except it's another expense.
Yeah, we could start saving these.
So we mentioned lakes, sidewalks, roads, all that stuff. That's why I was kind of harping on the drainage, the sidewalks. On the trail, which is a lovely trail, is the lake lookout being demolished? Are we gonna upkeep that? Or what's the status of that area back there?
I'm happy to discuss that with you because this really isn't the
Okay,
back and
yep.
forth, but
You don't have to respond. I'm just putting it,
yeah,
questions
my
out.
card is right
That's
there
fine.
for you if you'd like it on the
Um,
table.
So lake lookout.
Yes, ma'am. Sidewalk, Billy Trail.
You have Jim in there? You don't have Jim in there?
We don't
Yeah, that's
manage
not
the
it's
gym.
not us.
You don't, who manages Jim?
The owner of the gym, which is the owner of the clubhouse, I believe.
The golf course, I believe.
That's where you go to get your access is the golf
Okay,
course or clubhouse.
they'd be the ones to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pro shop.
So
Yeah.
that,
Mike? No. No.
But the gym is owned and operated by an individual.
Okay,
Lives here in the.
Oh, Jamie Abel.
okay.
Yeah, that's not
One
us.
you go to. We
Okay,
will help you and we'll direct you to him on the golf club. but
Okay,
it's not us.
thank you for clarifying.
thank you.
Okay,
We didn't know you owned it.
Mr. Gresham, you have any more,
no, sir. I believe that was everything unless my wife has any, the only comment I want to make is, thank you for sharing your card with me. I'll go on the website. to everybody's.
My card is right here.
Oh, thank you. We're all saying Facebook's not our line of communication, so at least everybody in this room that's here and you guys, let's not use it as our line of communication then.
Yeah.
Okay,
Please.
and that's why I want to get on the website, get everybody's emails, because that's the best form of communication instead of the back and forth over the crap on Facebook.
It is, and also if I can just let everyone know, we have just developed a new website. The old one points to the new one, but we're still adding stuff to that website. The board's gonna have input of what they want on there. You'll see a lot more community news or things of that nature. So, but just what you see on there now, you may not see any news per se on there, but it will be put on there.
So this is the public situation, and he's emailing you separately about some of the issues that we've discussed here. How will I know about those issues and if they get resolved? How will that be communicated to everyone here in this room?
Pretty much everything that has been brought up has been discussed at the May meeting about the budget, at the June meeting.
That's
It'll
fine,
be,
that's the
it'll
facts.
be in the minutes. It's on the recording. It'll be.
No, but I'm saying, if he emailed you, how do I know about what your response is to him?
Yeah, because he asked a lot of good questions.
He did. He had a lot of good questions.
Okay, everybody, we have to talk one at a time because the recording can't pick up everybody talking at one time, but we have to be able to do the minutes. There is not a mechanism for me to provide all of his answers to you.
But we need a forum for
Yeah.
that. So Facebook isn't good because it becomes this, evil thing that everyone gets on and I don't.
When you can communicate on Facebook all you'd like.
But it's not official. We need
No,
something
It's
official.
not official.
We need something official.
So-
And that's what the minutes are for on the website page that doesn't allow comments.
I'll speak to that. Part of the issue again is sunshine law. The only forum where us as a board can discuss anything at the same time is in a publicly announced meeting. So everyone that wants to can come and hear about that.
But you can talk separately with individuals?
Yes, as much as you want. We cannot, like, Lucas had some, he did a lot of work on going over the last budget numbers for the last several years. He's not supposed to send that to me. He sent that to Angel, who then forwarded it to me to put on the computer to show during the meeting, once we get to that point. The sunshine law, that's a rabbit hole we can go down. There are some horror stories of people going to jail because
Oh, yeah.
they talked about something that was
Gonna be discussed in a
future
meeting.
business of whatever government entity they were a part of. So it's something that is taken very seriously.
It's crappy,
As
But we
residents,
can't-
we have to find our own method.
Well, I was just gonna say.
That's the only
Right.
space that.
Well, and, right, and so the meetings here are where we'd be held accountable. So if you're emailing us and we're not answering you, your recourse is you can come to the meeting and call us out on it. And it's on the public record for everyone to hear if, we've been, ignoring you or not.
Is there a way
To be a
create
resident, it should not be just harm.
Is there a way to create CDD Facebook
Okay,
that
one at
doesn't
a
allow
time,
comments?
one at a time.
and we're in audience
Yeah.
comments,
I have
one at a
more
time.
comment.
Okay.
You
I have
said you
one
were
more
done.
comment.
Thank you, Mr. Cressman. So just finishing that issue from Mr. Lugans earlier. The comment of, not being able to have, people commenting on it that's a key part of it. So maybe as we're, refining the new website, there's a good way that we can, if there is something that's, I was single-handedly kind of updating the website before, and I'd be putting as best as I could updates on the paving project on the front page. There are definitely, more, cleaner ways of doing that. And if it is something like, hey, we're gonna have a budget workshop this coming May. If you want a rundown of what all the proposed budget changes are, item by item, this is the meeting you should come to and, be able to, take part in that.
Everything's public record. Everything here is public record. So let's say I answered his questions, right? You can email me and go, hey, did you answer his 15 questions? Can I please have those answers? Absolutely. And I can send them to you.
No, I totally understand.
Yeah.
It's what happens outside of this room that is more challenging to me. and I understand.
Understood.
To us too. We're as frustrated as you.
They can only meet every 30 days.
Sure.
And can't do anything in between. So again, it's also the process too, why it takes a little bit to get stuff done and all of that, because we as the management company and legal and engineer, we work for the board. We don't have the authority to make any decisions outside of meetings because we work for the board, which in turn, works for the residents. So it's kind of a trickle down effect.
We're already,
I will say I'm the Facebook guy, but I know it's not official, but there's still good information out there, whether or not you have to deal with, the people that are disgruntled and don't like things around here, don't want to come to the meeting. So I do try to post things to inform folks of what's going on. It's definitely not official, like Angel said, but there are some good things that you can get out of it and get aware of.
Did you know when you post something, you can turn off comments?
Oh, really?
Yeah, you're doing great. Just turn off the comments.
All right, I'll do that next time.
Okay, Mr. Cressman, you said you had one more?
Just one more comment, and I stay off of Facebook. I don't do social media.
You know the line.
But about the fence, so I work in construction, I measured it, I know what the exact linear footage is. The ballpark number of 200K to remove and replace is pretty accurate. I got a quote from a guy that already does work for me, doing commercial and right of way work, doing exactly this stuff, and remove and replace, his cost was 170 grand. Now, if the maintenance facility crew can remove it at Harmony's cost, which is paid for, he said he could come in and do an installation for less than 100 grand. So that does cut the cost in half. Do we still want to spend that money? That's up for everybody to decide whether we want the fence or not. But just to clear the air, because everybody was kind of questioning, I'm hearing word of mouth.
Yeah.
On the numbers and stuff, it was pretty close.
And by the way, Harmony field staff is removing it at obviously
And then,
the district's cost by
What-
payroll.
so what can, the correspondence was from the county?
yes,
The
Osceola
the
County, we
violation,
were in
yes.
violation.
Who, from whom?
The county,
Code
Code
enforcement.
code enforcement, right?
Someone called code enforcement. They
It was
came out.
falling apart and dirty.
And not only the CDD fence, I think they hit the golf course, they hit, the.
Harmony Retail.
But we have the right to stand our ground. I mean, can we, it's not the whole length of the fence. It's like some small sections that I feel like we wouldn't have to remove it all.
The problem that we have, again, going into a back and forth, but the problem that you have is that fence is 20 something years old. So have you ever gone out and like looked at it up close?
Oh, yeah,
It's super
I walked
chalky.
all of it, yeah.
If you try and pressure wash it, it just
Mhm.
disintegrates. So we can't even piecemeal, because that was the first option of the board.
And has
was,
been done in the past.
Hey, let's go and put just the sections that need to be repaired. Well, if we did that, well, now this section's falling apart, and then it was just kind of a chain of effect. Side going out there and hand washing it very lightly is the only way. The rest, it's just so, it's been out there so long. It's
Don't say that, 'cause I bet that'll be cheap.
No.
To answer that question,
Fine.
so to answer that question, there, Angel brought it up, there are portions that are on golf course property. There are portions that are on private developers property, like I believe the part that runs up along Harmony Square Drive is by that property owner. It's the part along the highway
It's the
that
right
is
of
large
way.
part owned by the CDD. And for now, by the east entrance, field staff will be removing that. It's not required. We did look into that. We could rebuild it in the future if there's, widespread, outreach and, money in the budget to do that. But it's not a hard requirement. So we are taking it down for now to be in compliance with code enforcement. It would have had to come down anyways for a new fence to go in.
Right.
So we're doing the interim step now to not incur fees from the county, and we can rebuild it later if we.
So it's coming down.
Yes.
On the east side of the the west side is, was built more recently. There's maybe a couple sections that, still need upkeep, but the whole thing by the west entrance doesn't need to come down.
Is that code enforcement, community development?
That's county.
Osceola County.
No, I know, that's what I'm saying. They have community development and they've got transportation, road and bridge. And
It's
they both
neither.
maintain-
No, this is a
It's
different
just
different
code enforcement.
code enforcement. Yeah, it's a
Somebody called
different,
On your house, it would be the same.
different
it would be the same
agency.
Code enforcement that would come out and violate you if you had whatever in your,
Like you had a fence that was too tall around your yard, it'd be code enforcement. that would tell
Right.
you you
Same
can't
code
have it.
enforcement.
Okay.
Same.
Anything else, Mr. Pressure?
Was
we
there
are way beyond
Yeah,
3
back
minutes.
from us to code enforcement?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
We
Yeah,
did.
Yeah, we always have a
That's all I needed to hear.
deadline. Yeah,
Yep.
we always have a deadline to respond by.
Okay,
And we actually, their next inspection is
September or something.
September 19th.
Yep.
They're coming out to make sure what they violated us on is complete. If not, we'll start being fined $200 a day until it is complete.
Understood, thank you.
Had you wanted to address the board? Anyone else? 3 minutes?
If you want to address the board, you have to come up this way.
Oh, my stuff.
Watch yourself.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize. Thank you, Karen.
Oh, well, if you want to address the board. Well, yeah.
Speak into the microphone.
Yeah. have that.
Kimberly, your name, your address, and then whatever your concerns are.
Lived here 10 years, never did this.
Okay,
Oh, well.
You said my name?
say your full name and your address, and then whatever your concerns are. We need it for the public record.
Awkward as hell. Kimberly Rodriguez, 3200 Bayflower Avenue.
Thank you.
My concerns have been the same concerns for about 2 years that I've brought to you. They are the hideous looking, ugliest, oldest, rustiest ass signs all throughout Harmony.
They're in our agenda.
Yes, it's getting to a point now where you peel them back. Like literally a kid could take it, peel it, eat it, have a liable lawsuit. They're really, really bad. I sent many pictures. That's it. I'm like in the spotlight.
Thank you,
Like I said,
Kimberly.
Thank you.
And I will say, yeah, that it was mentioned in the previous meeting. It's in the agenda for tonight. Thank you for bringing that up. We are.
It went out and got all the pictures that I sent you, so.
All right. Any other, we still have some people on Zoom. Yes. Step right up.
Terry Henley, 7040 Button Bush Loop. Good evening, fellow residents, board supervisors. and our district manager. Thank you for your public service. I'm a new resident as of May. I'm very happy to choose Harmony amongst a number of community development districts or cities, but my family chose Harmony because it's beautiful and it's close to work. Thank you. I have 3 items I want to discuss tonight. The first is the reserve, the contingency, the fiscal slack that we have or don't have. The second is the capital improvement fund. The third is some suggestions. A reserve is, it is the fund balance. It's the liabilities, less assets. So looking at the financial statements from last year, which I looked at prior to moving here to see what the financial condition of the community development district was, I saw $1.2 million. $1.2 million for approximately a $2 million budget is more than 50% in reserve. That's a healthy financial condition. The Government Finance Officers Association recommends that at a minimum, you have 17% at the very minimum. So more than 50%, that's at least 6 months out of the year. Those financial statements were up to 2022, December 31st, 2022. Fast forward, we're 7 months later, okay? And we're proposing a budget for 2024. I look at the reserve and I see $250,000. Okay, there's different slices of fund balance. The reserve or the assigned fund balance that's only for the operations of $250,000 is equivalent to 1 month. Let's say calamity strikes. In our country of 250 years, a recession or a downturn occurs approximately every 5 years. That's 50 in the last 250 years. You can expect a recession. It happens. So what happens in recessions? You look at your contingency, your reserve, your fiscal slack. What's our buffer? We have 1 month of buffer. And now I'm gathering that, and this board has a very tough job, because what I'm gathering is that there is a lot of years where taxes or assessments didn't go up. Okay, maintenance was neglected. And now all these things are surfacing, which brings me to my second point. There needs to be a capital improvement fund. And when you put money, when money like $450,000 is suggested to go into reserve, it needs to have a name. Is it for the contingency for recessions? Or is it for capital? Or is it for what? Or is it for whatever we think at the moment? It needs a name, it needs an assignment. Okay. To have a capital improvement fund, I suggest 5 years, and all the items that were mentioned here tonight should go on that list, and a prioritization with the estimated costs, which can fluctuate. And we have professionals here that know how to put costs together.
May I interrupt you for just a second?
Uh-huh.
In our agenda tonight, we have a reserve study set of bids.
I'm going to talk about that.
We've already had our reserve study. This would just be an update to that.
Great. I'm going to talk about that.
You have 3 minutes.
I have one more item. So I suggest for the second item, a capital improvement fund, and it not be commingled with the reserve. The third is just some suggestions for improvement. The financial statements do a great job of providing variances where there's discussion of why this is different from last year. However, the budget does not include that. And to address the very first resident that came up and says, why is this different? My suggestion is that when proposing the budget, just have one line. Okay, this went up $20,000. And I thought the budget was very reasonable, by the way, given the constraints. The administrative costs, lien, the irrigation, everything made sense to me because I'm knowledgeable about those things. However, I really suggest for communication purposes that we have a variance line, a variance being the difference between this year and last year. Real simple. It went up because of this. I like this budget message that I got, but I was surprised to get it in a newsletter and not like on the website. So Teresa Kramer, thank you for the.
She's on vacation.
So that was helpful. So I suggest an executive letter from our manager or our head of our board. So those are my suggestions. Take it for what it's worth. Well, I'm very happy to see the turnout, and I'm happy that my family and I that we moved here.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your due diligence.
Really appreciate the participation. Do we have anyone else on Zoom or here in person that would like to address the board? Okay. Absolutely.
Remember to state your name and your address.
It's Beatrice Spencer, 7011 Beargrass Road. So we are here for a
Beatrice
little over
Spencer.
4 years.
She's lived here 4 years.
7011 Beargrass. You go.
Lived here 4 years.
So, yeah. Sorry for the accent. I'm working on it.
No. go ahead.
It's beautiful.
An American with a French accent. Ooh. Sorry. So at first I wanted to thank you for what you are doing because you all have very hard work here. It's a
Thank
very
you.
tough job what you guys are doing. But I was looking at the
Budget?
budget more like a business. I consider the CDD more like a business. And as a shareholder or as a business owner, no matter from what side I am looking, I'm quite a little frightened. Because of, I kind of agree with the gentleman before who, we don't have enough reserve. Act of God and we are cooked. We are foreclosure. You know, it's happening. People can go for a closure like it's happened a couple of years ago. CDD doesn't get paid. There is not enough money to pay. We don't want to go there. So I have a big problem with the roads actually.
With the roads. The
alley,
roads are not.
alley paving.
Oh.
So what is done is done, and they didn't do a good job. If you guys call in an independent engineer or someone between us is engineer or know something and check out the road, he gonna most probably agree with me. I can scratch all the asphalt off with my nails. And I got the sand under the dirt in the middle of the alleyway. I can just scratch with my nails.
Okay.
So it's kind of crazy. So I heard there is 2 more of this schedule. So it's more like another.
Not any, no, not at this time.
Other alleyways too.
Eventually in the future, but
Not
nothing,
with this company, not right now.
not right now, no.
It'll be in the future.
Sometime in the
Okay.
Done
future.
with paving currently.
Okay, yeah, because it's a crazy money. If I can suggest, don't pay. If you didn't pay this contractor, yeah, don't pay them. And if you call independent engineers, people who knows they're gonna confirm it. It's bad job. And the second point I wanted to say is the maintenance building. Again, to save some money, the maintenance building where we were talking by the lake on the existing concrete, yeah. If we do a nice landscaping around, it can be actually very nice for 120,000, it can be done. A nice, beautiful storage unit. There is no kids. I read the minutes. I never seen kids playing there. I'm working there 4 years, at least twice a day. I never seen kids there. I never seen people. It's only people who coming from outside, park their car, they walk the dogs in harmony, and they take their car. So we don't really have to keep this account, but we would save also another $200,000, lots of time. And we could make it pretty with a little planning for not more expensive. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Spencer. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening.
Absolutely. And take notes. Do we have anyone else in the audience that would like to speak to the board?
All right.
Okay.
Zoom, on Zoom?
Yep. Several people have joined. No one's indicating that they'd like to speak. That's correct. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Yes. All right. Where'd you
Getting
find
back
me?
to the agenda. All right, for first we have contractor reports. So we have the I apologize. So I was learning your name from Benchmark.
Nick,
Nick. Yes.
can I just say right before Nick starts, I apologize. There were some statements made about how much we have in the current agenda balance sheet. It's the current agenda, the balance sheet shows that our operating reserves are $467,801,000 operating reserves, and our unassigned fund balance is $868,320.
And yes, and the full alleyway paving has not come out of that yet, which was $600+ thousand.
And that hasn't, it's not reflected in here, none of it?
Some of it is.
What, how much of it is?
I'd have to look.
Alright.
Was it broken into 300,
Yeah.
300?
I think 2 of the payments have been made.
I think it's
We still
about
have a retainage-
$450,000.
Still have a retainage left. I can get that
Right.
for you. if you keep going.
But we still have about $800,000 between operating reserves and unassigned fund balance, I believe. So we're not in a bad place.
Didn't you say it's over 600K that are about to come out?
No,
it
some of it's
already
been paid.
has.
Oh, we just don't know what it is.
No,
Exactly.
we-
That's what she's looking
That's
at.
for all this recent construction.
The alleyway
Yeah.
paving.
That's what. all-
Yes, we've, it's set up to where it's on draws. I'm sure you're aware.
Right.
So we've paid 2 payments and we still have a retainage fee until
Which
every,
is all you can do, is hold the retainage.
that's right.
They have to pay them. They
Yes,
put it down, so they gotta pay them.
correct.
But they can hold 10%. and
That's
it.
right. And that's what we're doing until, and the
But it's a big
engineer,
chunk of change, it's 60 grand. if it's
Yeah,
600.
and
Okay.
we've had a punch list, the district engineers on. That's on to discuss
Yes,
during his
uh,
report.
Punching through the asphalt. There's a
I don't-
lot of, on our street, there's a.
and we'll get to that, when we,
Okay.
we'll get to that. on the-
And I will say for everyone's benefit, any kind of issues like that, if it's an issue with the email address, cddmaintenance@infomark.com, which should, I think should be a little more prominent on the new website, but any kind of concerns you have, that's the best place. Because it spams to everyone basically at Infomark,
Yeah.
Jason, our.
Nova that might address, so, and it doesn't have to be a main, anything that you want comes through there and you're gonna get a response.
Respond very.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Perfect. All right, Nick, thank you. So,
All right, Nick with Benchmark Landscaping. Just wanted to touch base, the timers. They are obviously being installed or all the way installed. As far as find out as soon as
It's
I
right
leave
here.
here.
So we received a report today from the irrigation team, that some of the newly installed rain sensors located on Flock 2, Harmony Square Drive were damaged by vandals. They attached photos of the rain sensors that were installed on 7/20, and they found the damage today, which also attached pictures showing the damage. And obviously, that's something the board's gonna have to determine today, what you wanna do, because obviously we need those rain
Yeah.
sensors.
So we'll address that after you've done your report.
Absolutely. After they are all installed, we're gonna start tracing the lines.
What's
You know,
that mean?
where on paper we were discussing last month, no cable, so areas that aren't getting water will be able to hook them up and make those repairs. And keep the broken lines, broken heads, tying in, making sure that the sod's all covered and things like that. The maintenance is going routine. We're in our peak rain season, but we're still managing the St. Augustine at 4 inches, the Bahia at 3. We're not falling behind in any areas. There's a couple of areas by the lake that, have to sit until they dry, but other than that, it's not got out of hand so far this year.
Okay. Just, you have my contact information. I'd like to meet with you sometime in the next few weeks and just go over a few areas that need attention.
Absolutely, we could set up. Email me.
Are there proposals? Do you have any?
I do not have any proposals this month. We're still working on irrigation and that's where our focus is at.
So the vandalism was, I don't know if you guys saw it, essentially the rain sensor it's a pole sticking up, right?
Mm.
And some vandal just bent them over. So they are just, the photos, I don't know if you can put photos up so people can see it.
Yeah. And I have it up if you need me to email it again.
I got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Are there any patches near where they were banned?
I have a suggestion, if it continues, we can put a game camera in that location.
In that location, but there's how many other locations, right? It's like, was
29,
my
30.
first thought.
Right.
My first thought was, oh, let's put a camera up, but we'd have to put cameras up
I
at
think
30
it's by
different
the road.
locations.
If I could, this is Mike Eckert. We should try to refrain from speaking about cameras, camera locations, and our security system plan.
And public meeting, so it's all, public record and everything. That is something we can discuss with district management, but I'm showing the pictures we have now.
So that's that was straight up. Now it's bent over.
Oh,
That was
wow.
straight up.
That's not good, bad thing about wind.
No, that was,
Now, I don't know on the case of those, if it's just the conduit could be replaced, or if the sensor or any of the control boards or anything are in fact missing. We will have it. I mean, Angel, do we want to pull that discussion up to now, or what's the best way to?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about landscape. He's going through his report. Now would be the time, what the board wants. I mean, obviously, you know what the obvious solution is.
Right.
You've Got to replace them.
I mean, can we get authorities involved? I mean, I know the.
Well,
We
yeah,
should report it to the
definitely,
police for sure.
definitely.
definitely.
And then I will send this to the sheriff's department and make an official police report. But in the meantime, yeah, the board would need to give benchmark authorization to replace those.
Well, probably the sensors themselves are fine. It's just
Yeah,
the
I don't know.
conduit. It's probably
Brett,
just-
do you
We would
know
probably
the-
do an investigation to see what's good, what's not, and I would know next week what our plan of action to move, what is currently vandalized, what's needed, what we can keep.
Okay. Can you,
I
It's
saw
hard
benchmark
to
was
hear.
on the
Thank you.
call earlier. Are you, is that you, Brett, or?
Yeah, I am here.
Okay.
Good to see you all again.
So are the rain sensors salvageable or not?
Yeah, they should be. I believe it's just the wires that are inside. We'll have to check those, but it's the metal conduit that the rain sensors sit on top of that were bent. The clock should still be in place. Those boxes lock, so they shouldn't be able to get in there, but it's the conduit, that metal conduit running up the side was, we just decided to hang on them.
Yes.
Well, we do have one of the pictures. I don't know if that's whoever took the pictures opened up the box or.
Yes, yeah, that's us doing our inspection after they were put in.
Okay, good.
so the sensor itself, which is on the end of the conduit, should be fine. And the wire inside the conduit should be fine. It's just replacing the conduit, which is pretty cheap. So I think we can authorize, I don't know, a not to exceed of $100. I mean, with
Well-
labor and I mean, it's a lot less
Hey,
expensive. The conduit's cheap, but it's the labor.
Well, Nick or Brett, what would your thoughts be?
I think. that we
Yeah.
should go over and, look at it and take inventory.
Okay, and then in keeping with our procurement policy, Angel might be able to just, if the amount's low enough, you'd be able to authorize. Okay,
I would get, how many pieces we would need in the time to fix what's currently destroyed.
okay,
But it does only look like the conduit, the wiring and the sensors and the timer looks to be fine. Every box gets locked
right,
once it's closed by us every time, so
okay,
they don't have access to
Right.
the significant
okay.
components.
Okay. Did you guys turn in a proposal for the 6850 sun drop?
Yeah, that was sent this morning.
Yeah, so I
Oh,
don't
so
have the
no.
agenda. Yeah.
That'll be on your next agenda.
Right.
To do that. What's the status of the irrigation with what you guys done so far?
Okay, so now that the timers are in place and the sensors are in place, we'll do our inspections and then, like I said, we will continue tracing the lines, reactivating lines that have been dormant for years and rehooking that up. And we'll do that with each timer. Some are fully functioning right now. Every zone, everything's working fine. And so we'll go right on down the line and make those repairs as we come up to them. So we'll immediately jump from the timers to repairs.
In progress, but it's moving. along.
Correct. Yes, all this month, all of July, that was our priority and it's going to continue to be our priority until it's complete.
And how much of the
Not to exceed.
not to exceed have you gone through so far?
Right now we're on the timers. That starts immediately after we're getting them all.
But the timers were not part of the not to
Exactly.
exceed of the repair.
Right, so we haven't started on the repairs yet. We're doing the timers,
I see.
sensors.
So we
first.
still have all of that not to exceed that hasn't been
Right.
used up. Okay.
Yeah, so we're
Yeah.
just into that. So we're right now, we're finishing the timers up.
Okay.
All right.
Carol, can I add to that too, if I may? So some of the repairs we made, like to the laydown yard, for example, when they were doing the asphalt alleyways, the laydown yard had zones down and a clock that wasn't functioning. So some of the not to exceed $20,000 work was done prior, if that makes sense. Like we went ahead and made those repairs to that clock and those valves to get them up and going so that we could have functioning water. So when they relayed the sod in the lay down area, everything was working. Those charges would be kind of lumped into that NTE of $20,000. And what Nick's getting at is when we put a new clock in, or the new clock's in, and we're hooking the wires up and we're turning zones on, if we run into a zone wire that's not firing, that part of that NTE will be us tracking. And I know there were some questions like, okay, what's your time frame? What's your schedule on completing this? That's very hard to put a time frame on tracking a wire, especially, you know, with out there. I mean, with all the oak roots, with all the work that's gone on in the past. So we may, you know, some wires are maybe one nick in it, and we're able to splice it and make that repair right there and move on. Others, we may, you know, make that repair to that first nick in the wire and then run the ohms on it again, and it's still not firing. So we have to then trace again from that point on. So it could take a little bit of time, but that's where that $20,000 NTE is going to kind of dump into it. And our goal is to hopefully come in under that.
Thank you.
Okay, so, let's see. Here on the stuff that. Board tabled summer annuals for June and July install. Is that something you want to move forward with now, or do we need to continue to wait?
They look pretty awful right now, but it is also going to be hard to put something in that's going to do well for 2 months until September. So, however, I will say that there's a bunch of dead annuals that need replacement, right? Because your contract requires that if the annuals die, they're replaced prior to the next contract,
I'll have to
right?
talk with Jacob on that, and then we can follow
So
up
yeah.
on our
so you
meeting.
Are these still the spring annuals?
Yes,
Yeah, well, we would be into the summer annual rotation. So that would be like if those spring annuals would die,
the spring annuals were installed pretty late.
well, that was due to the irrigation concerns though. I mean,
Yes,
we
but
held-
they're not that old. They haven't been sitting in there forever. So it's not
Right,
like,
but spring annuals like cooler weather too. So, I mean, we could go in with Pintas now and be pretty solid, but
Yeah.
we can work on that. But yeah, I mean, if the annuals for spring went in late because the irrigation wasn't functioning, I'm not sure how we would be responsible for replacing annuals under the contract requirements due to the fact that the cooler season annuals had to go through hotter temperatures and not survive.
well, then they shouldn't have been put in when they were put in. Those annuals should not have been selected to be put in at that time.
Okay, so do you want them to remove the ones that are dead?
Yeah, I'm not asking for a full replacement of everything, just the
Just
ones that are dead. Yeah.
And then instead of doing the summer annuals that we tabled
Wait till fall.
for 3,500, we'll just do the
Fall,
fall.
yeah. I
Remove
mean,
them.
we'll talk about them next month. I won't be
Yeah.
here, but we can talk about them next month. We can approve that contract next month and they can go in September.
Correct, okay. The next thing is the board table, the roof will replace for the St. Augustine, Georgia, and Needlegrass
At Needlegrass?
at the Pocket Park,
I looked into that.
Needlegrass Lane Pocket Park.
Right, you remember last meeting when we were discussing it and you thought we were being proactive? That particular location showed up on that inspection. And it was saying to be addressed, so it was brought to our attention. And then we had discussed putting it when the
Well, I didn't finish.
okay.
So the board tabled it until September. So I just want to make sure you're still okay with waiting until September. It wasn't anything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Um,
no, we talked about tabling it till September because to put in new sod right now at the,
We're on the same page with that.
Okay, so we're still good with September for
Yeah.
that. Okay, so that'll be September.
I had a list and I forgot to bring it.
Harmony benchmark replace timer controller for SAT 23, proposal 1077-975.
Satellite
was-
23.
I thought that was included in the
It
timer.
was, just wanted to make sure from Nick if it's accurate or if it needs to have a proposal added on to that.
No,
No, we're good.
Yeah.
That was just from the last meeting.
right.
If the 975 covered the whole thing, because there was a question, so we're good on that.
We're good on
All right, that's all I have as far as follow-up items that we have for you.
And I'll just say as a report, because those bulbs, there were bulbs that residents had donated to the CDD and they got installed a couple of weeks ago, and some of them have already started flowering. They were sitting in a garage for several months, 2 garages for several months, and they are installed and they're doing beautifully. And we hope to get some more donations of bulbs or whatever, because we have some other areas that need to be filled. So just a happy update for once.
All right.
That's all I have.
Yes, just shoot me an email about what's going on with the rain sensor so we can get that knocked out.
Right.
Okay,
Absolutely.
all right, perfect.
I will get in touch with you this week. We'll have our.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nick.
All right.
Have a
Yes,
good
have a
night.
great day.
Thank you,
too.
you too.
Is that your phone?
No, that's not recording.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry.
Yep. Okay, so next, under new business, Angel, we have a discussion regarding the FY 24 budget.
Okay, so I'm gonna give a recap to everyone that is here. That where we are, what we're doing, and kind of all that good stuff. So tonight was initially gonna be the budget hearing, which was the adoption of the 2024 budget. And also for the board to go through it if there were any more cuts that they wanted to make to the current budget that I'm sure all of you have seen that's been out there. So what ended up happening is after they approved their proposed budget, we sent it off to the county like we're supposed to do and all of that. And it came back with them saying that we had sent out the letters. Because it's by statute, we have to send out letters to every parcel owner if there is an increase, right? So we started getting, when Leah sent it in, the county said, oh, wait a minute, you can't, parcel L
Yeah.
is not within the boundaries of the district, which is why the 55 and up community never received an assessment letter. Well, they've been on the county. We've been assessing tract L for however long. So Leah went back and said, no, there's a mistake on your part. We've been assessing them. They are well within the boundaries of the district. Well, they're like, no, it's not. It's not. So we got together with our documentation that we had, got with the engineer, David Hamstra, got everything to prove that, no, it is in the district. And then all of a sudden the county, and we have a whole email chain with the county, the board has seen it. Council has also seen it as well, where they, oh yeah, you're right, we have the information. So then it was rectified, but the problem is now we had to move the budget hearing back to August because not every resident got their assessment letter. So now you're all gonna get the assessment letter again. Same information is gonna be on it. However, now the missing lots and resident owners that did not get one will now get one. We couldn't come tonight and have a budget hearing and where some that didn't get their letters wouldn't be able to participate in that conversation in the budget hearing. And we have to open it up to obviously public comments. Well, they wouldn't have their letter. Some of you do, but that section didn't. So therefore we had to push it back to August. So tonight we have the budget discussion again, just for the board. I don't know that there was any intent to make any changes or do anything tonight. I think they're still all contemplating this stuff and see if there's things that can be cut out of it for the August 11th meeting, which we can do in real time August, I'm sorry, not 11th, the 24th, and make any changes because that will be the final budget. Okay. Right now it's just a proposed budget. Still have time to make changes. We can't go any higher than what your letter stated the proposed budget is, but they can bring it down. Okay, so we put it on the agenda for a budget discussion, so I could let that knowledge be out there. And the chairman asked us to put a specific public comment period on the budget, which some of you already spoke about it, but now we will open it up to anybody who wants to speak specifically on the budget. Again, you're more than willing to do that. You'll still have the 3 minutes again, but it will be specific to the budget. And that's all. Board members, unless you have any comments, you're more than, before we open it up to the public.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm speaking for Lucas, but does it sound like you're gonna time to?
Yeah, if you wanna pull it up.
Yes.
I did some historical, well, not historical, but went back to about 2015 and reviewed the revenue versus the expenditures for each fiscal year.
Sorry, I don't have,
So
right.
I can you guys a snapshot of it.
Yeah, give me.
You want me to send it to you again?
Well, I have it. I just need to get it in like
The
a
queue?
text form or
Yeah.
something that,
Oh, I don't.
hold on a second.
Just an FYI, I think Angel knows I will not be here on the 24th. I will be here on the 31st, but obviously that's not an option now.
I'll make a note of that. So while Dan's doing that, being that Carol will not be here, we need to make sure that
There's a
we
quorum.
have quorum, because we cannot push this budget hearing out any further than that date, or we will miss the deadline. I know Teresa will be here, but if there's anyone else that's not going to be here, please let me know prior to.
Yes.
Dan is working on it. I will say, Angel, while he's getting that up, concern that Mary Jane had about the budget was about the meeting room cost, but I think that should be restated because that's for transcription costs. It's not for a
So
meeting room,
It's
right?
for a combination of things. It is essentially, and I believe, did Teresa sent you a very lengthy. I have it, I was copied on it. Teresa Kramer the chairman, sent you a lengthy answer to all of your questions.
The only one I got was Carol.
Oh,
That's it.
I have Teresa's, but that explains it in there. But anyways, if you find it maybe in your junk or something. But so the meeting cost, the reason for that, we don't pay meeting costs for this room. They were nice enough to let us use this for free.
For now,
For now, obviously it's a model home, so eventually it's gonna go away, right? They're gonna sell it. And so we would have to then pay for meeting costs. So the money was left in there because eventually that is coming. And also this board does verbatim minutes, which is literally,
Yeah.
you've seen them, they're 90 pages plus long. And yes, and so that is why that's in there, to cover minute costs, because we may get a service to do those verbatim minutes, so they get done a lot quicker, because right now, those minutes are taking roughly about 24 hours to do. And then the chair reviews them, and then other board members review them and send back their revisions, so it's just a very lengthy process, and to ensure that we get them done on time, so they're in the agenda, so all of you are able to see them. We are looking into third parties to do those. So that is why that cost is in there, okay? Yes, I can resend that, Dan.
No, I got it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I just did screenshots, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, I need to apologize, everybody. If you,
Should be in your email now. It's just a screenshot, so you can click on the picture.
right.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody.
over under.
And you can just start going over it,
Yeah.
Lucas, and when he shows up in the
So
picture.
there's
makes sense.
there's years on the top columns, the rows are revenue, which is basically our fiscal budget that we agreed on. The expenditures are what we paid for. There's whether you overran, and then there's another line item beneath that. It says over or under, and it highlights if the board ran over or under. There's another row underneath that. It's called rate increase, and that tells you from year to year if there was a rate increase. But it's technically not the rate increase that we do here. It's basically if there was reserves pulled from that year to cover extra expenses. That's where, if you look into the budget, it says adopted budget. Am I correct?
That is correct. So what essentially you're saying is your assessments may not have increased, right? But the budget increased and reserves were used to cover that increase in your budget. So therefore you didn't see it in your assessments.
Right.
That's
So
essentially what he's saying.
you essentially paid for it because, well, someone paid for it, either it's coming from the reserves or it's coming from our general fund. But these are the actual true numbers that really tell you the real rate increases from year to year. So once Dan pulls it up, I'll be able to kind of give you some information. There's a plot on basically our revenue that we get from everybody each year for the O&M, and there's also inflation rates for
Oh, so you're gonna next, oh, there. I am.
Yeah, so he went from 2015. He went back to 2015 to current year 2024. There we go.
Actually, I started to do this.
So did you email this to us? Because I don't see it.
I emailed it. to
How do you have it?
I'm just looking.
I posted on Facebook.
Oh, and you need,
So, yeah, so like I said,
So how
the top rows,
and how did you get it?
first row is the fiscal year. You go into the revenue, which is basically the money we collect from the community each year. The expenditures are what we actually paid for that year, and the over and under is basically showing you if you ran over or you saved money. Going to the rate increase, that really calculates if what was the next fiscal year's bump from, say, 2016, 2017, tells you the rate increase. Chairman, I just captured that because Ruby was giving me a hard time. So, and then inflation rates I pulled from US inflation rate website. But like I was saying before, if the revenue, if we have a revenue of, say, the first column and we overrun that year we didn't increase rates from you guys. We had to pull from reserves to pay for all those expenditures. So technically, no one saw a rate increase that year, but we pulled from our reserves and that took away from our overall funds. So basically that rate is the real rate that we incur year to year, whether it's a plus or minus, but at the end of this table, you can see it's at the end of the table, it's 43,420. That's the total over under that we've had in the last, I guess, 8 years.
That's the
Average, but that doesn't include all the money we took out from our reserves.
Correct. And what this also says is, and these things, anything you see in the red, that has to be done by a budget amendment every year, because that means we overran the budget, right? So then we do a budget amendment at the end of the year and we have to cover that expenses because the auditor is going to be looking at that. There's a third party auditor, an independent audit company that the district does an RFP and they hire, and they do an independent audit of not only the district's financials, but they also make sure Infomark or the management company is doing what they're supposed to be doing as well. So that's kind of the gist of what you're seeing. And I didn't go back all the way. I don't know if you did, as far as when assessments have increased. Carol, you're probably, that probably better than anybody. No?
Well, before last year,
Yeah,
there had
before
been,
last
I
year.
guess, there'd been a streetlight, small increase for a couple of years that was then,
Okay.
but before that, I want to say it was close to 10 prior to
Before
last year.
there's no increase.
So I really would like to point out though, from 2015 to 2020, we did not raise rates at all.
That's right.
Right.
No rates. So everyone's now, they're like, why are we raising rates so much? It's because we had almost a 2% inflation every year of costs and expenditures. Now we hit the 20-year mark and all these things are falling apart and we're way behind the curve and we don't have, funds and reserves. So that's why we need to cover our expenses and have a little extra money just in case, things break down. So,
And to add to that, something that Angel brought up earlier,
sorry. You can have this.
Thank you.
And
So
I'll
much.
I can make sure that this chart is attached to the minutes. That once the board approves the minutes tonight, I'll make sure this chart is put in there.
and it can go as an attachment to the meeting as well, that'll be posted on the website.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And again, something Angel brought up earlier, when we accepted the proposed budget back in May, we cannot add to that. So we had to think of whatever the, worst case eventuality might be, which again, speaking about a maintenance facility, whether we do the cheaper or the more expensive option, we could have, potentially proposed a smaller budget increase. I want to say it was maybe like a 6% or something like that, but really would have, that would have limited our, we would have had no choice but to put the maintenance facility at the, on that existing foundation at the park, which not to cut David off, I know he has some discussion of that tonight. There was maybe some question of are all of the potential costs of that being reflected. So that's why we needed to, we had to shoot high with the proposed budget. And again, depending on what we discussed tonight and that next month's adoption meeting could back down from that, but.
It could potentially, whichever way the board decides to go with that. So at this time, unless the board has any more discussion, I would open it up to audience and then 3 minutes and then we can move on through the rest of the agenda.
Does anybody have any questions with the
Budget.
I did. And it's just because I'm new.
Just state your name again.
My name is Mike Tresham, 7417 Wingspan Way. Just because I'm new to the community, so obviously we got slammed between the past year because we've been putting stuff off. And
yeah,
you look at the revenue, you got, 3 new communities added, so you went up over 500,000 in your revenue, but your expenditures obviously went up almost $1 million. I'm not questioning the dollar amount, just what was it,
so the 3 communities, that doesn't increase.
Revenue. I feel like the revenue is pretty flat, even though they're.
We pay for the land every year. It's the
Right.
Same kind of, basically it's.
I'm not talking profit though, revenue, money coming in, not
Every
money in your
community-
pocket, but money coming
Every
in.
community is paying from the very beginning.
Right.
So it's not like
I thought that too.
as the
I thought
enclave,
that's-
let's say the enclaves just was built just now, let's just say. And it started today and it's built out in 10 years.
Right.
They're paying from day one.
The developer.
The
Right.
previous
They buy
landowner.
it, they get a bond.
Whoever, yeah.
North is now being covered?
It was always been covered.
They've always paid it.
So it's already
Yep.
in there, okay.
Correct.
Owns that property where your house is now.
Yep.
They've been paying since day one.
Right.
As part of the budget package that
Right.
goes through every neighborhood by letter, including like neighborhood M, which is by where the stables were, doesn't exist yet. It still has an assessment, entry and is being paid right now by the current landowner, even though there are no homes on there yet.
Okay.
Yeah, so
thank you.
Mike, if you're asking about our revenue in 2023, that was the adjusted fiscal, we added money to because we had to pay for the new road or the new alley.
New payment, okay.
So that's why you see it. So these are, the revenue is not really what we asked the community to pay for, but that year we actually took out of our fund to pay for it.
All right, it makes sense.
Right.
Fine, you
And
pay
for
it.
2024, we're including a hefty amount because we need to build a new community maintenance
Right.
facility.
I understand.
And so that's going to be a large number. And we will be hearing from our engineer soon regarding what he's learned.
And I'd say percentage wise, I don't think it, even then, I don't think it was as much of an increase as we had from 22 to 23. The question is, as we, mentioned earlier, we did have the landscaping, even though we tried to stay with our previous landscaper, their bid went up and we are required by law to rebid those types of contracts every, I believe, 5 years or 3. and it-
It's good practice. I mean, you can do a renewal, but it's good practice.
Yeah, you want to keep.
For a large, that's one of your largest contracts in the district.
Yes.
But we are actually, so we can have a 3-year contract with 2 1-year renewals, but after that 5-year period, we are required, we must go out to bid.
Right. So, thank you for clarifying that. But
I'm disturbed that all of a sudden.
I'm sorry.
we've got
Can you,
Steve Bradford-
can you wait until he's done, please?
sorry, I just had a follow-up question to the revenue. So it doesn't have to do with new communities. It's been paid since the beginning. So why does that number fluctuate?
It fluctuates, so I'm thinking you
Go ahead.
took this revenue. from
Genuine
what we-
question, I'm not, I
what we
just.
collected. So this revenue is what we collected. Some people may not pay their taxes, some people do. But And I'm assuming that's where you took it from, right?
2021.
Mhm.
That was the adopted. So
Yeah.
I think that-
From 2020, there's $1 million difference. And if we're saying that it should have been stacked, basically, I know it's gonna fluctuate a little bit, maybe 100 grand here or there, but
Well, in 22, assessments went up. That's
No,
why.
but why in 2024 is $1 million more than.
Well, because we're also covering for the costs that we incurred in 2023.
But where's the revenue coming?
but that's not the revenue. That's not, I understand that the expenditures are gonna go up exponentially because of that, but.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely, I don't understand if it's the developer has technically been paying for North and for over here in South Lake. Why does it fluctuate?
They didn't go up in that time span between 2015 and 22. They didn't go up appreciably because the board kept the assessments at the same rates.
Right.
So even though new neighborhoods were being built and we're switching from developer paying it to homeowners paying it, the assessment set by the board was staying the same. So roughly the revenue through that time was staying the same.
So-
Last year,
I'm sorry.
we had, having
You
done this
raised-
reserve study,
you
knowing we
increased
needed
assessment.
to repave the C1 and C2 neighborhoods, we had a larger assessment increase 22 going into 23. And that's reflected in here. And that's where it, went up for the first, appreciable time on, the entirety of this graph here.
Because it's 600,000, 600 something $1,000 just for that project.
Right.
And then in 2024, it's just gone up. We just put $450,000 in reserve money to build this new facility.
Right, so you raise the assessment, that's why revenue went up, and it's hard to project what your expenses are gonna be. So
Right,
that-
and the 2024 expenses will in large part be dominated by what we end up doing. with that
Everybody's
facility.
experiencing the same, not just CDD, but anybody in the market, you try to project, and you try to save, and then you end up spending more than what you have,
Yeah,
which
and
is.
we're also in a place where it's almost uncomfortable that we don't have enough money in the bank for, with stuff that I think,
If there's something.
We don't want
We
to.
want to take the fence down, everybody, we love the fence, but.
Oh, no, but
We just had other things we have to take care of, but there's always the future, same with the restroom.
So, thank you, Mr. Freshman. Yeah.
Can you come up here and state your name and your address, please? Thank you.
Watch your head.
Yeah. Steve Rafferty, 3313 Sagebrush. It's a little disturbing that the next 2 years, because people weren't thinking ahead in the years past, that we're now going to 30% increase and a 15%. That's a lot of increase in 2 years. And nothing was done to prevent that earlier in the process. So I don't understand why all of a sudden have to be saddled with this and no one thought about this ahead of time. If you're supposed to have those reserves built in, you're supposed to look forward saying, this life, it's 10 years, whether it's the pipes, it's the asphalt or whatever. We need to plan to have that money to redo those, but it doesn't look like that was done.
So I have been on the board for 14 years and I have been pushing for a reserve study from the get-go. We had the engineer do a storative reserve study, not exactly. I kept on pushing the board to collect more revenues. I was only one member of the board. The other 4 members said, we have plenty of money. We have plenty of money. We have plenty of money. Every time I brought it up. So I'm only one board member. I was only one board member. You can just,
And I brought up the reserve study last year or the year before and said that, because I manage quite a few districts, I've been doing it for a while. And I am a proponent of reserve studies. It's not something that you have to follow to a T, but it's definitely a starting point, right? It tells you it lays it out for you, and not only for 5 years, this lays it out for you for 15 or 30 years. And they put the cost of inflation in it and cost of increase of material and all that. And then we get it updated every so often to make sure those numbers are accurate. So the board did do that, and we do have that, and we actually have some proposals on here tonight to get an updated to the one we currently have with current costs. And I think this board is pretty diligent of looking at that and trying to plan out for that, which is why you're seeing the increases to make sure you don't get in this situation again, if that makes sense.
Yes, the other boards that you're on or districts that you cover, do they have these same type of increases in theirs?
Yes, but I will tell you, as Carol just pointed out, most of my districts, And I'm not trying to play one against the other because every district is different and it's not right, wrong, or otherwise, okay? But typically what happens, to follow suit with Carol, is most boards will do a 2 to 3% increase
Every year.
every year. So therefore, you're building it up, and those, it's a very slight increase, so you really don't feel it, kind of. You feel it, but you don't feel it, because if you bust it out over 12 months and you're only charged annually, right? Maybe it's a cup of coffee, maybe it's 2 cups of coffee. But when that is not done, and then all of a sudden it has to be done, and you're hit with something like this, then it's like, whew, I feel it, right? So there's different ways to do it. None of them are right, wrong, and otherwise. It's apparently, it's what the board wants to do. You have to remember, board members are also residents, right? So when they're sitting up here trying to make these decisions, they're also thinking of it as being in your shoes. I'm a resident too. Do I want my residents to have a 5, 10, 15% increase? And a lot of times, more than none, they don't, because they're sitting in the same situation you are. And sometimes, unfortunately, you just kind of have to bite the bullet sometimes. But again, no right, wrong, or way to do it. Everybody's different, but most of the time you see a 2-3% increase, at least enough to cover inflation or cost of living. And then you don't get to this point unless there is a major thing that comes up and they have to do maybe a one-time assessment for something, for a project or something like that. So that's why you see this.
Okay.
I don't know if that helps you. but-
Thank
No,
you.
it's still disturbing that, yes. Thank you for your time.
Well, the other thing is, not that I'm defending, spending more money, but, and I hate to say that word, but it hits us a couple of years later. The pandemic was a real thing. It hit the economy hard, and I know in the construction industry, it took a couple of years to really hit us, but that wave has come strong. And it started what, 2020, and it's not surprising to see that it's now starting to hit us between 22 and 23. It does suck. You hope that you get planned better, but I understand we're human.
Thank you, Mr. Freshman. Is there anyone else on the Zoom or here in person that would like to address the budget specifically?
Move to approve resolution 2023-09.
Which is setting the date for the fiscal year 24.
Do you want to put it on the, do you want to put it on the?
I suppose I can.
August 24th, 6 p.m. here. So Carol,
I've made a motion.
second.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve resolution 2023-09, setting the resolution.
The rescheduling.
Rescheduling
Rescheduling from July to August.
July to August 24th at this location. Any further discussion before taking a vote? All right, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. If I go down to
Move to approve resolution 2023-10, which is amending resolution 2023-06 to reset the date of the public hearing on imposing special assessments for the next fiscal year, 2024, providing a severability clause and providing an effective date.
Correct.
we have a motion. Supervisor Serkanis has seconded. Any further discussion? All right, call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, going back to the agenda, we are now up to.
You still have Lucas's,
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay, we're now to old business, and we have consideration of reserve study proposals.
So this, when we say proposals for reserve study, I just want to make sure we're clear. This is just to update your current reserve study.
Angel, have you worked with Facility Advisors Florida? Have you worked with them to date?
I have not, but let me tell you, your lovely engineer sent me an email because he has worked with some and has not worked with some. And he basically said, on the line, he could do it. But basically, he said this is what he would share if he was ranking the proposals. Number one is community advisors. Number two is facility advisors. Fees seem awfully low for a CDD of Harmony size. And number three, independent works, they have no CDD experience. So
But the community advisors is $10,400 and facilities advisors Florida is $3,650. So what? No, this is an update. This
well,
is
this is also
reserve study
without a
update.
site inspection, and some of them have a site inspection. And I would advise, if it was me, I would go with the one who does a site inspection, because if you don't do a site inspection, what they're gonna do is they're gonna go on Google Earth. They're gonna look at anything, and then they're gonna look at your old study and kind of just go by that. But if they're physically eyes on, seeing what you have here, I think that's a better thing. And again, that's just my recommendation.
Get what you pay for, right?
It's, you know, sitting here thinking everyone's gonna get mad at us if we do this, but in the long run, it's gonna pay off.
Okay, so, all right, so again, to.
Community advisors, that's the 10,400 one. Is it possible we can request an onsite, a price for
Well,
onsite?
That's proposal with on-site inspection. I believe that's a new proposal, and then the update with site would be a 4,300.
That was for.
Community advisors.
Okay, and they were the ones that do not have CDD? experience?
No, they do. The one that does not is Independent Works LLC.
I apologize.
No, that's okay.
Well, who did we have our last one with?
Reserve,
They don't want to work with us
Yeah,
anymore.
reserve advisors, he would not sign our contract because, the legal stuff that, your legal counsel put in there, that needs to be in there. And he just, for whatever reason, refused to do it, which was
okay, that's
really
right,
kind of
that's
shocking.
right, yeah.
Because it's pretty standard.
Right.
and why he
Then-
would agree to it.
Then,
Throw the 3,500 number at the 10,000 guys and say, look.
no, it's not, it's actually not. It's for just an update, not a full reserve study from scratch. With a site visit is $4,300.
So they're only like $600 apart.
Yeah,
So this is gonna take our-
well, 600.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So, move to approve community advisors proposal for fiscal year 2025. It's 2025, not 2024. That's my only
Yeah, I think
question.
that Might have been, I'll talk to them.
Yeah.
There's
With
no-
a site visit for $4,300
Got it.
because David is recommending them as number one.
Okay, we have a motion to, sorry. Too much multitasking here, to accept the proposal from community advisors. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion?
Anything from you?
Nope.
I'm sorry, I'm just sitting here back.
Okay,
Do they
well,
give you-
Just the update for the
They don't-
fiscal
there's no
year.
negotiation for that.
right, and
Sorry,
yeah,
what was that?
Oh, yeah, we did.
Second?
So-
okay, yeah, no, and Lucas, just a second, and, yeah, so, and sorry, this isn't, directed at anyone, we, had the community, or, sorry, audience updates, no, that, and that's fine, and we have, I seriously, I used to show up at these meetings and just, put film them for Facebook, so seen this many people here is, I love it. But we do need to keep the meeting, going forward, so we have a motion and a second to, approve the proposal by community advisors in the amount of
$4,300
$4,300.
for a site, for a reserve update with a site visit.
Yes, so with the site visit. Any further discussion?
That's the update to the fiscal 2025.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that Angel will
I'll get with them.
verify.
Get it
Okay.
cleared.
And just for that discussion, so that's saying they would be giving us, here's your numbers that we think should go in your fiscal 25, because if we're approving fiscal 24 next month, they're not going to give us anything meaningful to go into that, so we're going to clarify.
They're gonna take the reserve study that we had done, and they're going to update it for fiscal year 25.
Got
And
it.
I will clarify that, but that's my
Perfect.
understanding.
Okay, call the question. All in favor?
I
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, next we have consideration of shed proposals. Am I correct? This is,
Okay,
sheds
so-
for,
What
The
ended
garden?
up happening is we emailed the county, because we still have the Conex buildings out there, which we have to get moved. We are currently in violation. They did give us an extension on that. We did ask them, what about if we were able to do a shed for the garden to put their stuff in? They said, yes, we can. We can do up to 250 square feet, which obviously isn't large, but I know there's a termite issue out there. So it was recommended not to do wood, but to do like a metal building. So that's kind of where it's at. It would purely be a shed, no installation, no, nothing. Just something for storage, the tractor, stuff like that, supplies and stuff like that. And then you would be able to sell your Connex building to Celebration for $2,000, which they are waiting on.
okay,
Are we selling both? I thought we had two ships.
And we will buy them both.
Celebration will buy them.
Maybe.
Correct, not me.
So I'm keeping one, selling one now, or are we selling them both right away?
It's up to you.
Well, we said
well,
building, so I wasn't sure
Yeah,
if you meant.
I don't know what will fit in that
Yeah.
shed.
It's 12 by 20,
12 by 20.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
12 by
240
20.
square feet.
240, so that,
Yep.
But I see that there are, that the joists underneath and within are wood, so I'm wondering why.
I don't know. I just received that email, Carol, that said, hey, we should go with a metal building because there is termite issues.
So I don't like, I haven't gone through, there's nothing to indicate the Allen's factory outlet, what the differences are between the three proposals. And there's also not much in terms of, there's no interior design.
There will be one.
No, you still have, what does the structure look like? Like
So the
you can
shed
see
outlet is 12 by 20.
there's a wood floor.
200
and
240 square feet, no installation at all, just Sunshine Structures. They did a couple of different things. They did a 10 by 20 Eve gray with white trim, 2 48-inch MHD, one with full glass, 2 windows, no electric, 7,500. We don't pay tax, so that's excluded. Or a 20 by 20 streamlined beige with white trim, 1 48-inch MHD full glass, 3 windows and electric for 7,180, which I don't know. Maybe you want electric. I don't see why you would. We don't pay tax. Or a 10 by 20 Eve gray with black trim, double door, 9 light on each door, 1 window, no electric, pre-owned.
I don't think we should, don't think we should go with anything with a window door.
Okay.
I think Allen's, the proposal from Allen's, I don't know if you can get it up on the screen. Dan?
yeah, it's page 70 of the agenda. I
Yeah,
could,
but it's not on the
That's,
screen. It's
was
not
that
on the
12 by
screen.
20
It's not,
center?
it's not.
yeah,
Okay.
all right.
So there are 3 proposals from Allen's, but it's not clear what the differences are. They're all 12 by 20. And they all have a man door with just a little diamond window in it on one side and a garage door on the other side. So they're all the same dimensions. I don't understand what the difference is between them. I haven't gone through. There's nothing to indicate what the differences are, and there are price differences, right? So it goes from $5,025 up to $6,313. I don't really know what the differences are. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. But we have no photographs of what the inside looks like. We have 3 proposals from them, right? 3 options, but there's from Allen's with 3 different prices, but there's no, we don't, without going through line by line, printing them out and, like there's nothing to indicate how, what the differences are between these 3 prices. The models look the same.
But if we look at the descriptions, it probably does.
Yes, but we only got this agenda. It's the 342 page agenda. And you would have to print those, like,
What's the point of the discussion, though, if we're just gonna pay this?
No, we-
I think we should table it.
Oh, well, that's fine. I'm with that.
What I looked at was they didn't put in the slab. We want one door on one end, we want a garage door on the other end, no windows, and it was about, yes, but.
Yeah, but we have 3 proposals from them. And they're all different prices, but the pictures are all look the same. The descriptions are like 25 or 30 different items in the descriptions. I just, with a 342 page agenda, I did not have time to print out and go line by line. I'm suggesting we table this to the next meeting.
Well, it sounds like we'd like some clarification from, oh, no, okay,
I'm gonna tell you now, you need to make a decision.
right.
Because you're on a tight timeline for the Connex buildings out there.
Okay,
Unless I can ask for another extension, I don't know that you're gonna get it, and if we pass the deadline, you are gonna be fined $200 a day.
Yeah, but I'd have to print it out and compare each one. And well,
Yeah,
I just haven't had time.
Oh, okay. We just want one door,
Uh-huh.
one ordinary door on one end, and we want a garage door on the other end.
I understand, but all 3 options from them show the exact same building.
And we just want a metal.
If we have to make a choice, I think we should go through it.
right. Well,
It was about $6,000 when I looked. at
There,
it.
there are 3 options. One is $6,300. One is
well, hold on a second.
$5,800 and one is,
So I'll tell you this, there are
50.
links in this quote, so
Yes.
I mean.
oh,
There's a chance we can just pull this up and see if there's, get our questions answered on here. That's one here,
So, I mean, it tells you,
That's the building.
right? So we have the size picked out here. We have the color and everything's picked out. I see there's a window on the door there. Is that,
Well, we can do it without the window.
well, we understand, let's,
Can you rotate the,
I can tell you what the differences are. If you pull up the spec sheets on each one,
Yes.
they're listed out. The
Yes.
spec sheets are on here.
Mhm.
So let's just say, for example, they're both 12 by 20 vertical roof metal.
all
garage.
3.
Okay, but like I'm looking at this one, so. the
This one
difference with
being-
This one, Allen's, sorry.
Yes, but there are 3 from Allen's. Which one
Correct.
from
I'm
Allen's are you looking at?
comparing the 6313
Uh-huh.
to the 5823.
All right, well, why not the 5,025?
I just don't have that in my hand at the moment. I can compare that one too, but if you look down, I mean, like on these 2, it seems like the only differences are, and by the way, these are not on a slab, it's either ground or gravel.
Oh.
We would have to either, which we could pour the slab, that's not a problem, but so. So insulation
They
insulation
all do.
options, on the one that's $5,823, it's insulate roof only. On the one that's 6313, it's fully insulate roof and sides.
Yeah.
So that's the difference there.
right?
The insulation type, you've got woven R17 insulation roof only to a double bubble insulation on 9-foot leg height.
This is a shed, so.
You tell if any of the 3 are not insulated at all?
Probably the $5,000 one. Let's see. Where's the insulation line?
Yeah, can you pull it up? Pull up the slab?
Where's the insulation line? Oh, okay.
For slab.
I see installation, but not insulation. Oh, okay, under vertical. So there's no insulation on the $55,000 one.
To the natural.
Guys, this is gonna be an easy way to do this.
Yes,
I've got the 3 Allen's proposals right here. If that's what
Yes.
you're wanting to really look at are the Allen's.
I would
ones,
agree.
It appears.
yes.
So,
let's ask her, I think she doesn't want it, you don't want any insulation, is that correct?
No insulation.
no insulation is needed.
No, there's no,
Right.
nothing needed.
Okay.
And we can put in our own electric and our own water.
All right.
So that seems to be where the difference is.
Yeah.
So then move to approve Allen's Factory Outlet 12 by 20 vertical roof metal garage for $5,025.50, including delivery and installation.
Is that on a slab or?
No,
Now, all of these are ground or gravel?
they don't offer a price. Well,
No, every one that they presented is either on the ground.
Well, then that's
Or-
Jason's fault.
Or gravel.
Well,
That's Jason's
there's
fault.
not a price difference on their website.
Yeah, there's
They
not.
don't give a price difference.
Okay, but
So-
that's Jason's fault, because I
Okay,
asked
well,
Jason
so-
to put it on a cement slab.
well, but
Then-
the field services people can make that cement slab.
Okay,
So we don't need a price from Allen's for that.
So, yeah, so field services can take care of that. So we have a motion to accept the, do we have-
12 by 20 vertical
12
roof
by
metal
20.
garage for
as-
$5,025.50.
I'll second that.
Okay, do we have we have a motion and a second? Hold on, everybody. Do we have any further discussion of this proposal? And I'll add some detail, see if there's some questions on what exactly is going on here. Do we have any further discussion? Okay, so I'll say, this is not to give the entire backstory, but the CDD had a rental trailer that they were using for their office and storage containers or shipping containers that they were using as kind of a garage for, storing, vehicles, equipment, and we've discussed the maintenance facility, but that's going to take time to build. That's going to take time even to get permitted through the county, as David will talk about later tonight. So in the meantime, those shipping containers that, that construction trailer is not allowed to be back there by the plan for development that is on file with the county. The trailer has already been removed and field services has set up actually in a concession area at the Ashby Park pools on a temporary basis. What we need now is to do something about those shipping containers. And we found out with the county that in association with the garden, which is an approved use of that property back there, that we can have a small shed structure not to exceed 250 square feet. So this is to give us something that we can have available for storage. That is in, has the blessing of the county and will, kind of tide us over. And we'll have use even after, after the maintenance facility is complete, it'll still be there and be usable by the garden, community garden that we have back there. But in the meantime, that will give us some kind of storage that is, has the blessing of the county, which as of right now, we do not have and are imminently facing code enforcement fees.
There's a small shed that's there that we use for gardening.
That's
Oh,
small
really?
shed, yeah, but we're hoping once the garden, we can have the big shed. With that small shed would be used for chemicals only, because a lot of chemicals sprout legs and walk.
Okay.
So we need
Okay.
to keep a lot.
Okay.
Okay, so do we have any more discussion on the board?
Just to take a note of the flap for the shed.
Okay, so that sounds good. We have,
The concrete.
Field services is going to put in a concrete slab for this.
They can, yeah.
okay, well, and do we need to do
So you want
anything?
to approve this with field
Services.
placing slab.
Okay, and if that's all good for how our motion is phrased and everything, I'll call the question. All in favor?
I,
So
All of-
Carol made the motion. Who seconded?
Lucas,
Lucas, okay.
all opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Now, my next question is, so when we get this done, which we'll start on it immediately, get it done, see what all we can move into there, and then see what all's left. At bare minimum, if we can at least empty one of those, then you might have some interest other than Celebration that wants to purchase these, look at them, purchase them. So
Okay.
then we can throw it out there.
Okay, and we already have a standing, policy for,
Surplus items,
Yes, that-
absolutely, and I will tell you, we already got, for anyone who is interested in maybe purchasing these. Celebration already got a quote, which I'm happy to share with anyone who wants it, to move both of them. And if they were to move one or both, it's $1,000 to move it wherever they want. wherever it needs to be moved. So if you only did one, I'm sure it'd be like 500, but so.
And,
Yeah.
sorry, I lost it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Alright,
one
so,
more thing, this is- if we get rid of one container, but we still have one, because we don't have any space, will the county's fine be less than it was going to be?
No.
It's
Oh.
all or nothing with them, okay.
So at the last meeting, several board members and residents offered their garages as temporary storage. What's the status?
or is there anything else that we need to discuss relating
We
to?
talked to the chairman and also, I mean, legal's on the call. As management, I'm gonna tell you that's a bad idea. And you should not do that. Even if you enter into agreements, I mean, things can happen. And it's just, it's a lot of liability for the district.
Certainly.
And Mike can tell you something different if he feels that that's, you know, that's fine. He did say he's happy, obviously it's a board decision. To do that.
So the.
It's not the recommendation of management, and then Mike can give you his opinion on it.
Okay, so the follow-up question then would be if we've approved getting this small shed in place. What do we need to discuss now or possibly action to take place, assuming we maybe aren't able to find storage for everything that's in those 2 shipping containers right now?
So my goal is, now that you've agreed on a shed, is to reach back out to the county and say, we're having the shed put in that you said we could. We're doing that. We'll be able to fit, you know, whatever we need to in that shed. And then we still have this. Can we get an extension? They also did agree on a maintenance facility location and a plan. So maybe if we have all those plans in place, they'll be more apt to give us an extension. I don't know that they will.
And if
but
they don't, then what?
I don't know.
We will, we'll cross that bridge. when
Well,
we-
why don't we ask Mike his
Yeah.
thoughts on, our legal counsel?
Just
on-
into that.
Yeah, so, because he had talked about creating, some
Yes.
license agreements.
Yes, this is Mike Eckert. For the record, we did create a license agreement. I think we sent that out, but I agree with Angel. I think this is it's a very generous offer by people in the community, but I would not recommend it.
Understood. So, do we need to, I guess we would have at least until next month to let, this, the action of getting the shed, ordered and everything, showing the county, we're, working in good faith to address the issue. So we don't need to take any further action right now, it sounds like. But maybe just be thinking of, what's.
Yeah, I mean, obviously thinking of some different opportunities that we could do. But I think moving forward with the shed, I think that's the first step. I can let them know we've done that. Obviously, the maintenance facility is on the agenda. Whatever you guys do with that, I'll be able to provide them at least, you have a plan, you're moving forward, you're trying to get this accomplished. And I think, they're nice people, but and the fence will be done before our deadline, so we hopped on that.
More good faith.
And
Making progress.
we're making progress, so,
We're trying.
yeah,
Because the connexes are visible or because they're permanent?
it's the back there.
They were never
Right.
permitted. They
Right.
were
they
never permitted
To be,
At their location.
at their
Correct.
location.
So if we pay the guy $1,000 to temporarily move them where the maintenance facility is gonna be, could it just stay there? Temporarily,
that I don't know.
because it's a temporary. I mean, it's only 5.
We don't know.
Dollars a day, that would be already $1,000. You might as well spend moving it out of their sight, out of mine.
Well, here's
For
the
lack of a
thing.
better-
If we move them from where they are, we're probably going to have a lot of resident pushback, even though they're temporary, because if we move them to 5 Oaks Drive, they're going to be ugly shipping containers visible to everybody. If we move them down to Lakeshore, oh my God. That's going to be,
Where's the maintenance facility?
So we'll-
we are not sure.
Right, we'll be discussing that later. The 2 possibilities, there's an existing concrete slab that is along the walkway down to Buck Lake on CBD property. We'd asked our district engineer to get more information on can we truly just plop a metal building on top of that, or is there going to be other, expenses, site prep and everything? Versus we have a very complete, survey and, site plan for putting a similar sized building on, across from the new dog park. along
Larger
Five
building.
Oaks, on the driveway going back to the, turf maintenance facility, which is, a bit more expensive because that is building up a brand new site, parking lot, foundation, utilities, and so on. So that's what we are, trying to discuss later on. So yes, maybe, once we figure out what that plan is, we, putting the containers could be an option, but both of those are going to be much more visible to the community than where they are now
Well,
down. the
No,
garden road.
correct, but I think at this point, I think a little bit of resident complaining is gonna have to be what it is.
And that's,
Because you're gonna start getting fined, and my question, David, are you on, can you hear?
How much is in those containers?
Jason's not here.
Hey, David, is there any restriction if we were to move the two shipping containers and from the area they're in now, and let's just say, put them on that concrete, I don't know where, but let's just use that for an example. If we were to put it on that concrete slab on the way down to Buck Lake temporarily, is that doable, or would we need some sort of permit or anything like that?
I'm almost positive they're gonna require some type of screening. And it's not gonna be considered compatible with that land use, so.
Not going to be considered compatible with the land use.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's a eventuality if we're not granted any more leniency by the county.
And if we don't have enough room in this 12 by 20 unit.
So we have a few, possibilities, before it comes to that. And I think what the consensus is, to answer that question right now, we have a lot of people figuring out in hour 3 of our meeting, and going to the county, to the point that we don't need to take further action on this agenda item right now. Agree, Angel?
Yeah, obviously you're not gonna be able to, and that's something David and I can talk about offline. Get a temporary place or something like that. So, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, next item is consideration of transcription service.
David, could you put yourself on mute, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yep.
So your transcription, we talked about at the last meeting, and this board wants verbatim minutes, which is totally fine. But the time and making sure they're out in a reasonable amount of time so the board can look at them instead of having to look at them at the last minute and get them back in. So these are what these are based on. We've also tried Zoom. I see Dan has it on now. We'll see how that turns out. And these proposals, basically, we did a trial run with one that has human transcription, and it was a lot better because they do recognize the speakers, because unless you specifically announce, I'm Angel, and I'm making, then they don't know, and it's very hard. And to sit and listen to 3 hours, which really, if you double it, you have to listen to 6 hours because you're constantly backing up, and listening and that. So those are the proposals that you have in here.
So what about Zoom?
Yeah, so we tried to do it last month. There'd been an issue, but it's on right now, and you can see on the screen, there's a wall of text going by that's doing a decent job of catching what I'm saying and in real time putting it on there. The issue is, so the format, it's kind of, it's meant to go on a closed caption service. So every second is broken up. So in this second, here's the words put on the screen. And the only identification we would have is what caller is speaking. So Harmony CDD is going to be the only speaker for 99% of that meeting.
That's right.
Someone on Zoom, it will show, okay, this Zoom speaker, David Hamstra, said this word at this second, but it's still not the full. Supervisor Kramer said this, then, Nick from Benchmark said that we would like to have, and we're getting. I do not, just from a technical standpoint, I don't think that would work. We've had issues in the past of just the one uplink of the video here dropping out sometimes. So now, and we only have one, soundboard. I mean, good, not a bad idea, but.
And we put in a test into Zoom, we put in a test into Teams too, to see kind of what it would spit out, and essentially it gives us this big blob of text, but we would still have to really go through it and redo it. So it would be double work and you'd be paying for, you know what I mean? So it doesn't make sense.
Been doing the verbatim minutes.
I don't know,
Long
I've
time.
told this board before, council's even told this board, we never recommend verbatim minutes
No.
because that's
I
why you
do.
listen to the audio if you want verbatim. Minutes are to be summary, motions, action items, but that doesn't mean that boards can't do verbatim minutes, and this board is one who likes to do verbatim minutes,
So. Okay.
I
well,
like verbatim minutes because when residents want to know how we came to a decision, they can go to the minutes and they can look. The minutes are searchable. So you can just go and look. I think verbatim minutes are the way to go. I have believed in them.
Okay, well, and so about that, so the audio recordings have, always been available from Infomark. Anytime a resident could go and request that. I will say for about the last year and a half now, since we've been doing the meetings on Zoom, those are being recorded as, as the meeting takes place. And it'll be me pulling them down after a fact, but there's a Harmony CDD YouTube channel where the files are also uploaded. If there are, sometimes there are technical issues where it, drops out during the meeting. So, that YouTube, just like there's no comments on the Zoom meeting here, that YouTube it's for reference, but it's not considered the official recording. We, have that here. But I guess what it comes down to is, yes, Infomark had been doing that for, a number of years. There was a time where it wasn't being done. I think it just comes down
takes
to
a
what's the
lot.
cost.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time, and it's just, I mean, as you've seen, I don't know how many of you have read the minutes, but I mean, they can be anywhere from 80 to 100 and something pages. And it's a lot.
Who does this?
Hmm?
You guys do it? How much? What do you pay you guys to do that?
Right now, the contract, when they decided they wanted verbatim minutes, which was before my time, it was contracted to do 200, and I don't know where this number came from, $275
Per meeting?
per meeting. And that I can tell you right now, it doesn't even remotely cover, because, our administratives, like anyone else, understands we don't have one person dedicated to just Harmony. They have, 8 districts. So when they're spending 24 to 28 hours on minutes, and then the board gets them and they review them as well. So now you're talking, it's a lot. So to get them done more productive, that's the point, right? To get them done efficiently and productive and get them out on time, we just thought it would be better to go to a human service.
3 out of our 6 proposals are between $320 and $356. So per meeting. Yeah. So it's about $3,900 to $4,200 a year, between $320 and $356 per year. But I feel like, just from my perspective, because we do go into detail of how we come to the decisions that we come to in the minutes. If we have summary minutes, it's all lost. You have to then you have to listen to or watch the whole meeting, or listen to and wait for when it comes up, in order to understand how we came to the decision we made.
Okay, now, and one thing I'll add to that, so it's something it's been on my list to do, and I think with the website being done externally now, I might be able to finally get to it, but with a YouTube video, you can put, chapters in there, so you can, if you want to go, okay, here's, click here for the landscape report, click here for the engineered report. It doesn't take listening to the entire 3-hour meeting to find the one point. It does take some work on the front end to make that happen. I don't know. So my thought
On these, Dan.
Yeah.
And to speak to Carol's point, so the first 2 on here, the one like we sent, the June 29th meeting, it was 3 hours and 51 minutes, it was 97 pages.
Right.
So the online conversation and transcription with Otter Pro is like $8.33 per month, billed $100 annually, or $16.99 billed monthly. That is just online conversation and transcription, okay? The human transcription, which is flawless transcription, is $2.25 per minute. And it's total for what we gave them, you know, would be $519.75. If you go just transcript, it's $355.74, or Nagel, which is $525 per page, which is $509.
Right, so these were just estimates that we got, right? We didn't actually do any of these to see what the quality of the output was, correct?
No, we did the online, the Otter Pro.
Right.
That's where we sent it in, and again, it was kind of like this. It
Wall
was
of
just text conversation.
Right.
So I'm okay with trying one of these out, but I'm not huge on the minutes.
Unless
I
the
think,
board
I think
votes
if
to do
a
it.
resident has an issue, they just reach out and contact one of us and we can say what we said.
That's
$20
I'm not gonna remember.
Don't you consider trying ChatGPT? He recognized the voices, he recognized the person.
Well, I
And
tried
the
that.
transcribe.
I had asked everyone before, I said, you guys with the transcription, when you're talking, say, you know, Supervisor Castle or whatever, but then it gets very muddy, right? Because
Oh.
you don't really remember when you're in the middle of a conversation.
Say-
of,
Say your name.
You know, this and that. So, and then if people are out here talking, it gets carried
Yeah.
over.
Okay.
So as far as action to take, do we, looking at these numbers, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a large percentage of the budget. Do we want to maybe try one of these human services?
I move that we do a trial with one of these that's on the, you know, between, let's say we do a trial with Go Transcript for a month
Okay,
and then see how the minutes look and whether and then we, you know, I mean, unless,
And mind you, we still go in and format them and make sure that they're right, you know, but,
okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second? I will second it, now we have a motion and a second, any further discussion? So Angel, with, this is a little summary. Was there any more detail, like with Go Transcript, were there any differences in what they said they deliver, or?
no, this is all apples to apples. They take the recording and it's human transcription.
Names to lines and, okay,
And again, we're still gonna go through them, put them in format, make sure, see if there's any grammatical errors and all that. So really, your only discussion is either you wanna go with one of these, or as a board, you don't want verbatim minutes, and then we do them as summary minutes like we do for all other districts. That's really the only discussion point.
Does the human have to be licensed? Maybe a licensed. person?
I'm not licensed
Yeah,
to
you say-
transcribe their minutes.
Yeah,
It
but I mean,
doesn't
with
say
the
they're
feds,
good.
right,
but
they
it's-
so, I mean, my thoughts are, so again, with having Zoom, this is our first time having the, you know, captions on there. I've always been a proponent of having, you know, more information is a good thing. The costs, I'm, waffling on, I mean, any kind of added expense, especially if it seems we're close to maybe having, the tools out there to do this without taking one of the district staff 24 hours of their time to do. I'm amenable towards falling back on some of these maybe less involved options, but for the time being, I second the motion. I'd be in favor of at least trying one of these for the 1
Yeah,
month.
you're signing a contract.
Right.
Essentially, I've used Rev for you guys a couple times just to see, and that was costing us, which we didn't charge the district extra. I mean, for even your shortest meetings that were done at 8, it was still about $475 every meeting. And yeah. So that's what we're doing.
Right, and so It does by speaker, but this Zoom is set up on having a conference where everyone is dialing in individually. It's not set up for a room full of people with, you know, we have lapel mics, we have a room mic. It sees us as one caller to the meeting, so it's transcribing every word that it picks up and can pick out.
And teams will
But-
do it too.
Right, but in terms of having what we've traditionally had, which is this person says this, and then, you know, line by line, basically, so you can follow exactly what happened and who said what when. Can't be done right now.
I think with what Carol is proposing, there's no contract with these. I
Right.
literally will send them this audio. They'll do it. You'll see it in your next meeting and then you can determine what you want to
It's
do.
only $75 a month more than we're already paying.
What do you say? That's, okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
So,
we charge you $275. We're supposed to charge you additional for any overages, but I've never charged you for your overages.
All right.
Which hopefully nobody
So-
in my company hears that.
okay, public meeting, right? So let's call the question, all in favor of sending, let's say this did you have us
Go transcript
for this tonight's
for this
meeting,
tonight's
on
meeting.
a trial basis
Yeah, and
for 355, well.
not to
uh,
exceed, because hopefully our meeting won't be going that much
No,
longer.
it would be at the rate
Yeah,
of, that was listed on this proposal.
yes.
It's gonna depend on how long this meeting goes.
Correct.
So, you
It's-
accept that
yeah.
amendment to your motion, I guess?
Yes.
Okay. I'll call the question. All in favor of, on a trial basis, having Go Transcript provide verbatim, transcription of tonight's meeting? All in favor?
I
Motion
I
passed.
think
So, all opposed?
just the proposal, just to clarify the proposal that, well, actually, it says 355, and I'm guessing it's the $1.76 in 3 days, but it's not really
Yeah, and
clear.
that was for the June
As,
meeting
yeah,
was,
as per the proposal that's in the agenda.
right, that was almost 4 hours, that meeting in June, and we're
Yeah.
not there yet, and fingers crossed, let's push forward here, but we,
Yeah.
the motion passed unanimously. Going back to the agenda,
No, that thing you can do, you have voices go, let's speak.
all right. Now chipmunk mode, nice.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
so discussion regarding information science.
Oh,
Oh, you just paid for transit, so I don't want to hear this.
I know, I don't understand why we're still talking about signs. Hear them all.
Dave, can you pull up the other email that I think I sent you?
Oh, shoot.
and there were also suggestions that I had made.
don't have the email, so yeah, we have a separate computer that is just for running the meeting, and I have to, you know, get up, so, but we've all seen the signs. They're, some of them are 20 years old at this point.
I got them on my phone.
Yeah, well, I don't even have that, this is just for running Zoom, just to.
They're in the agenda package. The current,
Oh,
they're at
perfect.
the end of the agenda package,
Sorry.
near the end.
Yes.
Page
number 12,
88?
thank you.
Oh,
Yeah.
not at the
We've had
end.
this on a few months' agendas. No decision has been made. I know Mrs. Castle provided some suggestions. I know Mrs. Kramer provided some suggestions. But there's been no definitive direction of what you
So,
want to do.
how about this?
Them to say it, but I say we care about them.
Well,
I'm brave enough to say it now.
and well, my thoughts are just like with the fence, it's an eyesore. We could put something new up in the future. CDD owns those easements, so at any point, if we have, you know, 10, 20, however much that we, thousands of dollars we want to go to putting up beautiful new signs, we can do that. But as of right now, they're a mess. They're on CDD property, so it's up to us to
And
do
there's
something about
advertising
it.
stuff that we
Yeah.
shouldn't be supporting.
A
Move
website
to
that does things.
remove the signs temporarily.
And you should staff to remove them.
Use staff to remove them and store them for now while we discuss what we might be able to do with
Remove
them.
and store.
Well,
Right out front.
Well,
by-
okay, so,
As like market and all that stuff. right now.
okay, well, so, I will
Until further notice.
I will second that, but for any other discussion, so we are, again, to be clear, we're talking about all these, the developer placed signs on CDD property. So all the ones that would be are,
We can leave the posts. We can just take the sign part of it down.
well, is there, well, for the purposes of discussion, does that really save us anything? Do we know, we had some action out of last month's meeting to maybe talk to who put them up in the first place. I don't know if that was something Teresa. was going
Yes,
to
somebody
do.
was going to talk to Brock Nicholas.
I'd have to look back.
That
and
time's
see
like
if it was
$300
Teresa or Jason.
It's not that much money.
The whole stuff, you have to buy signs of the same size.
And that's a good pick, there's bad picks.
All right.
It wants to.
Get back to girls. Okay,
Motion?
so, yeah.
Developer place signs on CDD property, that's what we're talking about.
Back when the developer was the CBD essentially. So this is, it's not,
Are they actually faded or they're just dirty?
They're
No.
rusty, they're cracked.
they're stickers, they'll put the sign up and then they'll put a new, okay, we're building a new neighborhood, so we'll put a new sticker on top, but 10 years later in the sun, they're peeling, these are. maybe
They're
some-
unsightly.
Right, they're unsightly. I don't, my thoughts are that just leaving the poles up, it- right.
That's good.
I think they're
What's
not.
all
gonna
that
be
that
able
would
to
save us, if we're going to
remove the sign.
put new signs up, we can put new signs up properly.
No, signs, not poles.
So
Just get those signs and get them painted, but you would have to decide what you want.
Well, that's what we've been trying to
And then you
discuss.
Probably get everybody out of this
The-
room.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Yes, hold on, let's.
Whoa,
Yep. You.
thank you.
Yep.
So this has been on the agenda many times, but the problem is we have so much business. It pushed to the end of the meeting. It's not urgent. It gets pushed to the next meeting, pushed to the next meeting. Then it's put on like hold for now. So, we still don't know exactly what we want to put on the sign, but what we really need, regardless of whether we put the signs up, have new signs put on, we need a quote. We need to know how it's going to cost. We have a couple of proposals for what might go on the signs, but we don't know how much they are and whether it's going to pay. If we remove the poles, which are in the ground with cement, at the base, then if we want to put the signs back up and we can find this company and have new information put on the signs, which looks good, then we have to reset all those posts, et cetera, which is another substantial expense, which is why I'm suggesting that we remove the, sort of two-dimensional part of the sign and not the post for now, while we get prices on what the cost would be for new surfaces, because they're adhesive, right? So
It could take 3 months.
Yeah.
I've been
Well,
10 years, I have been begging, we talked about this.
I'm sorry,
Okay,
Kimberly, this is a board discussion.
Yep. So my
This
thoughts,
is just several proposals to this board that you
Yes.
guys have taken no action on.
right,
That
so,
a
and
bunch
my,
of different
please,
ones.
you keep things moving forward. Again, my thoughts are, we just 10 minutes ago, we're talking about how potentially storage deprived we're going to be in the near future. So holding on to things to maybe do when we get around to it. Big picture, first of all, the developer put in lots of signs, they're selling lots of houses. How many new neighborhoods are even going in there? How many signs do we truly need? We maybe just want one or two at, one at each entrance. So my point of what I'm getting to is I don't know if I need to do a new motion or what. I don't think any of them need to stay up right now. It would be a relatively small amount that we would be saving at the cost of leaving tacky things up for the time being, having stuff to store. I'd say let's just, like you're doing with the fence, take them down for now, get rid of the eyesore. And if we have lots of input from residents that we do miss those signs and we want something new, then we can look at how many need to be there in the first place, and then look at, okay, what's it really going to cost and do we want to do it? So do I need to do a new motion?
Carol made the motion.
I made the motion. If it doesn't get a second, it doesn't get a second and it dies.
And hers is remove and store until further notice, and that is leaving the posts.
Okay,
And you have a first and a second, call it.
okay, I will, but.
Is there a second?
I had seconded, but we
Dan
kind of
seconded.
discussed it.
You're rescinding your second?
I'll rescind my second.
What?
We have a-
You seconded it for discussion. so
Okay,
you still
okay,
need-
okay,
yeah.
so I'll call the
Call
question. All in favor of leaving the signposts up but taking down as according to Supervisor Castle's motion? All in
Aye.
favor? All opposed? Nay.
All right,
Okay,
1-3 fail.
Okay, I will move that for the time being, we direct field services to remove all of the developer signs placed on CDD property. With, we reserve the right to put new signs up in the future if we see fit, but for now, take down the broken old signs.
And we're storing them?
No.
Tossing them.
I don't think we have a place to store them, so that would be, removing and disposing.
And just
I will second that.
All right, any further discussion? Call the question, all in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion passes 3-1. Supervisor Castle in opposition to remove the developer signs from CDD property. Are we finally at the consent? Oh, a discussion on
No.
CDD website.
Okay, so here's my thing. The new website is live, but what I need from all of you, take a look at it. Tell me if you want to add anything. We are still adding stuff like contact information and all of that, but most of the stuff has been migrated over to be able to make it go live. We're still putting stuff on it, but if you see stuff on there that, hey, we really need this, remember though, the goal is not to have what you had of just a bunch of stuff like crossword puzzles and all this
We
stuff.
didn't have crossword.
Yeah.
There was a
Yeah.
bulletin board page where it was,
Yeah,
It
there's
was never
links
updated.
there's links to all kinds of stuff.
Wasn't it supposed to be a search feature? Because I can't find the search feature.
Search feature for what?
The website, the new website.
Is this, you just type in Harmony?
yeah, CDD.
I know, I'm on the website, and if
It's
I'm
right.
looking for the,
Up at the top, there's.
Sorry, I
tabs.
can't see it.
You can hit documents, it
Right.
moves it down, you
but
hit,
you can only choose those documents. What if I don't know where something is? I'm gonna do a search.
I'd have to look at it. I mean, it's
Okay.
very self-explanatory. You hit
It's
documents,
It's
you go-
not intuitive.
Okay, hold on. So
A lot of the documents be under financials.
what I will say is, we've, it only went live maybe a week or so ago. So, our email addresses should still be on there and,
Feedback.
Yeah.
yes, please. So tell us, we were using it too. I, definitely have some thoughts. I will be, that would be, I guess, to you, Angel, and do we copy Lynn on that?
Yeah. So I'm on it now, right? You can go to contacts. It gives everybody here's email addresses, my email address, every board member's address. Also tells you staff Infomark. It gives you Jason, which is the field operation manager. It gives you CDD maintenance at Infomark, how to reach him.
I don't know that we need to go through
Yeah, I
everything that's
mean-
on the website,
Right,
but there's a
okay.
lot that's missing.
But so, yeah, things that we think are missing, things that we think are hard to find, could be organized better, things we want added within reason,
Mhm.
pass that along to district management, and it'll be taken care of. And that goes for anyone watching. If you have feedback, please let us know so we can get it taken care of.
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Is that a real picture of?
No,
Probably
we
not.
can put any picture you want. But it could be, it's probably one of your beautiful oak trees that you have,
Yeah, the ones that.
just in the sky.
Oh.
But for resident, if you go to this website, right on the homepage, you'll see board meetings on the right, and that tells you all of our meetings, and it's usually the annual meeting schedule, which they'll be adopting theirs next month.
Probably get a picture from some of our photographers with a beard or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Send me a picture. Happy to change it.
Yeah.
Not-
Critter.
Why was changed? Why was the website changed?
It was
About a week
changed
ago?
because the
A what?
website itself, the design was very old. It was tricky to use on phones, I would say. And I'm saying this as the person that had volunteered to make the updates for it. I never had the time really to dig in and update it. Like there was stuff that was just the stuff that was running in the back end was like, hey, you have 5 updates you need to do. I'll be honest, too chicken to do it because if I hit the buttons to do this update and it breaks something, right? So it's again, the contract was again, like, I forgot what the amount was. It was, I think, 3,000 maybe.
It was 3,000 to get it set up, and then annually it's 1,585, and they maintain it, we send them stuff to post, they post it, it's posted like this.
ADA
They
compliance.
also keep it in ADA compliance and they provide quarterly reports to the board of anything, because I don't know if you're all aware, but there was a massive amount of lawsuits not too long ago about ADA compliance, and they were hitting just random websites.
Right, and I mean, so when I was, in charge of that myself, I mean, I would do that. I would make all the agendas, searchable and everything. I do the uploading. It's still, it would, take a few hours of my time. And I wasn't able to, always get to it right when the, agenda was posted a week ahead of the meeting. So the need for updates, I mean, there was, we talked about links to crosswords. There was a bulletin board page on there that the idea, yes, you could have links to events, but someone needs to be updating that. And it wasn't in good shape, and I wasn't able to put the time into really. I have a day job. I don't have time. Really? Right. So yeah, that's why the updates were made, and we're still in the process of finalizing. So anything that could be done better, this is the time for us to figure that out. We could take it over after a year and just have a fresh website design for our effort, but the hope is that they can continue running it and everything, and we're happy with the results. So any other discussion from the board on that, or are we ready for the consent agenda? 29 PM. All right. Do we have any discussion of the
Yes.
minutes? Yes.
So I don't know. I know the agenda was revised. It wasn't indicated what was revised in the
So
agenda.
what was revised is Teresa requested the public comment under the budget.
So
That's what was revised.
when so we received the minutes, I sent in corrections.
Mhm.
I don't know if they're reflected in the minutes.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
so that was one question. Second question is, in terms of the check register, not the check register, the invoices,
Mhm.
I noticed there were a lot of Toho bills where there was a balance forward. So, from the previous month. So, but we're paying the full amount. So were those bills just late in coming in and they didn't get paid last time? Because
No.
the Toho amount is $28,000 for 1 month. Of course, that's because there were a bunch of balance forwards from the previous month.
Right, yes, and Sally's looking into that to see what it is, and I think it has something to do with the big credit that they gave of 20,000. This was in 22, and that's what Toho had originally sent her, but she's working with Barbara to see what the issue is. Barbara Aaron, I think is her last name.
So, but the consent agenda proposes that we pay this $28,000 bill.
So you're just ratifying this. Your bills are paid. We have to pay your bills. If there's a question on them, then we go back and we figure it out. But prior to tonight, she's already working on that. Because I
So
asked the
do we
same
need to
question.
ratify? Can we table ratifying those particular bills or?
Well, you can, but they've already been paid. So, I mean, you would accept the consent agenda, and then I would answer your questions once accounting gets back to me with Barbara.
So we would request future, we want to bring the June invoices up for discussion on that point at next
Yes.
month's meeting.
100% to answer that question, but I'm gonna get you before the agenda, but it can be on the agenda to be in the record. But I will be able to have you guys an update, hopefully by tomorrow, via email.
Okay, do we have any other discussion on the workshop minutes, meeting minutes, or June financial statements, invoices, and check register?
And all corrections, including Mrs. Castle's, Mrs. Kramer, I think Mike Eckert actually had some changes as well.
Mrs. Castle was my mother.
It's actually Professor Castle. Isn't it? Dr. Castle, that is right.
Yeah.
A lot of things.
Yes.
And all, but yes, I heard that lately.
Jersey girl.
Yeah. So if there's
So
no.
they're all in there as
or-
amended.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if there's no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll motion, move, understand. I'll make a motion to approve the consent.
With the question of the Toho invoices.
Yeah, do I have to say the word?
As.
Yeah.
Okay, I will second. Any other discussion? All right, call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, staff reports, field manager.
So Jason's report was in there. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them. I know he's on vacation.
On vacation.
Mhm. I have no idea. I
The absolute
wrote
truth.
it. Set up pretty good. Freddie's been out here quite his down to make sure that he's okay. I know there's questions about, the flashback, and I believe an update was provided, the latest update.
Yeah, I mean, I drove that on the way here. It looks like it's doing the motion and everything. Sounds like it's operational, and we have a maintenance plan, so. You know, I would just like to request, like, you know, we had, if it's an issue where it's an amenity that's down, Field Services and Mark just be proactive in letting us know. We're not
Yeah, he
always
should
able
be
to.
doing that.
Okay, yeah,
Mhm.
because you know, getting to the, you know, the pool later on, I, you know, didn't find out about it until, you know, staying off of Facebook and all that, you know, until it had already been resolved, but if it's if there's day-to-day stuff, I understand, but if it's, you know, something about a resident
It's a pretty big
amenity,
thing,
yeah, I would appreciate being notified if something like that comes up, which knock on wood, we're past by now. So anything else for Field Services?
Not to my knowledge, unless you have any questions for me that I can take back to them.
Okay, hearing none.
Dan, if I can please have either Mike or Angel go before me, I'm almost at the office. I can get a better connection.
Good, 'cause your connection is not good.
All right, Mike, District Council, you're on the line and ready to go.
Yes, thank you. Mike Eckert, Q-Tech Rock. Just wanted to update the board. We're still working with the Developers Council regarding the erroneous attempt to convey track K900 to the CDD, which is clearly supposed to remain with the HOA. Talked to them as recently as today. When we pointed that out to them before, they went ahead and had a surveyor sign an affidavit saying, well, that was how it was always intended. And we know that's not the case because of the settlement agreement. So trying to get him to undo that deed and that affidavit. They've asked for us to agree to sign an easement on behalf of OUC. But there's some concerns with that as well. So I'm going to follow up with them next week on that. We also have the issue that the board asked us about tract L 600 and 700, which were two lakes that are showing up on the property appraiser website as owned by the CDD. That's actually the area that they want an easement over. Those are not owned by the CDD because we have not received a deed for those yet, but it is showing up on the property appraiser website by virtue of the fact that the plat dedicated those parcels to the CDD. So hopefully within the next week or two, we'll get all these issues worked out with the developer. In connection with 600 and 700, those are intended to go to the CDD, but only after the district engineer has a chance to inspect them and review the appropriate documents and make sure that, the district is not accepting a problem. So those are the things that we've been working on and we will continue to work on and hopefully have a conclusion for most of those, if not all, by the next meeting. And then finally, because there is a lot of stuff that developer is doing without communicating with the CDD, we've had an internal staff call and we'll follow up with that where we're going to appoint probably one staff member to be the point person to deal with the developer on these issues as they come through. So with that said, I'd be happy to answer any questions, but don't want to take any more of your time tonight.
Any questions from the board? Thank you very much, Michael. Are you ready, David?
I'll go.
Oh, okay. Angel's ready. Yes.
All right,
District manager.
so your next meeting is August 24th. Here, 6 p.m. For your public hearing. And we have another meeting scheduled, obviously, August 31st. So we need to have motion to cancel that meeting, being that we're having the one on the 24th.
Move to cancel August 31st.
I'll second. Just do we have buy-in from staff, contractors? They're here at our leisure. Do we have any concern that, anyone
Can't
that
show up.
regularly would have been able to show up at the 31st won't be able to show up on the 24th or won't be ready for?
No.
Okay.
You're gonna call the question.
Yeah, if there's no further discussion, all in favor of canceling the August 31st CDD meeting in
Aye.
lieu of having it on the 24th.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, the second is, Corey. I'm sorry, butchered that. Osceola County Road and Bridge. Will do the inspection of 5 Oak Drive, all the stormwater, road drains on 7/26 and 7/27, report his findings.
Yeah, I saw him at the west entrance 2 days ago, I believe, so.
Yeah, so he should be reviewing all of the drains are, owned by the county.
Right, and there's apparently one person on county staff that's
Correct.
in charge of dealing with that, but they've been here in the neighborhood, so hopefully, knock on wood, the bonding.
I just talked to that guy.
Yeah,
Okay.
he does phone number too.
Yeah.
Right.
And once we find out, I'll get his, findings, report them all to you, and then we'll put them in the agenda just so it's part of the official record at the next meeting.
Excellent.
And that is all I have, unless you have something for me.
What happened with the pool?
Pool.
Pool.
Oh, pool.
Yeah.
I still don't know. Somebody called the health department on the pools. They came out and we didn't have I don't know what they were looking for, because that was never even brought up. But when they came out to the pool, you have to have the pool permits posted. Yeah, in every pool
Yep.
visible, and the updated ones were not there. So then we had to get them up, and then actually called the health department and asked what happened, and then obviously Jason of why the new ones weren't posted, because they should have been posted.
Right.
That full update, because I think
Okay.
Lynn actually, I think Teresa inquired and Lynn sent an update to her, but it should have went up to the entire board, so I'll forward that out.
Thank you. And that would include splash pad as well, right? Because that's. Okay.
Yeah, but to my knowledge, that they need to be shut down.
Okay. Any other questions for district manager?
Well, this really comes under field services, but we have been talking about putting some kind of boulders or something by the ribbon curbs in the alleys that were recently redone, and it's been since April. It is now the end of July. I was sent an email with pictures with no indication of the sizes, with prices. I said, look, there's no sizes. I can't tell you what to buy because I don't know how big they are. It's a photograph. It doesn't tell me. It's like not next to something where I could tell what size it is. And I said, look, the purpose is to cause potential damage to a vehicle if it should drive over it in order to protect our ribbon curbs.
Okay.
But,
can we go ahead and
so-
move forward with it?
I asked, please move forward with it, but it's been,
I'll ask for it.
thank you.
So the boulders.
Yeah,
I mean,
or,
it's-
yeah,
It's pretty easy. There's a few out there. Why can't we just get the same size? Right?
I don't know. I don't think there really are a few out there. There's somebody installed one on their side yard
Mhm.
where the garbage trucks were going. I mean, I assume a boulder like this big,
Okay.
I don't know, what is
A
that?
few cubic feet.
24 inches by 24 inches approximately. I don't know what the volume of that is, but
Yeah, this is Mike Eckert. I just looked at that issue for another district, but it was along a roadway, not an alley. And in talking to the county, that was something that the county frowned on and said we could not do it. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there, but I would defer to David or somebody who can talk to the county about that issue.
it's not county, those aren't county roads, they're CDD.
They're on the
Alleyways.
alleyways, Mike.
No, I get it. I understand it, but the reason the county doesn't allow it is from a liability standpoint. So I just want to bring that up.
Okay. Okay. Well, all right, well, understood, thank you.
Try to throw out an update, please.
All right.
David.
Anything else all right, David, are you ready?
Maybe. he's
Yes,
on-
I am.
All right.
Yay.
You hear me?
Yes,
We can.
We can hear you.
All right. 4 quick items to discuss. The meeting with Osceola County regarding the future community maintenance facilities is currently scheduled for Wednesday, August 16th. A time has not been set yet to discuss both locations, both the lakefront and the Five Oaks Drive location. Definitely by next board meeting or CDD meeting, we'll have some input and direction from county staff on the pros and cons of each location. And if, for example, if the lakefront one needs to be far more robust and up to speed with newer setbacks or utilities, things like that, that the Five Oaks offers, but I'll have a full report on those two locations at the next CDD meeting.
On the 24th. Because you're saying the meeting with the county would be the 16th. I guess my question is that something, I mean, I understand our backs are against the wall schedule wise, but do we think, David, you'll be able to have that to Angel, and then if, you know, we'd be making a call at that time, it sounds like, on whether it's the smaller increase to do, hopefully, you know, depending on what David's able to find out on the lakefront location versus Five Oaks, and everyone's on board with making that call with all the information from the county on the 24th.
David, will we be able to have time between your meeting and the 24th meeting to get costs and stuff for them to be able to adjust the budget?
Well, I know that Greg has done a detailed cost estimate for the new facility. I would think we would have enough time to potentially add costs to the lakefront facility if the county asks for more than what we're proposing.
It may not be in your agenda.
Okay.
It may have to be sent out separate and then brought, you know, maybe we can give copies to residents that are here. But
That's all I can ask.
as long as we can do that, I think that's gonna be the bottom, because you need it for your
Yes.
budget discussion.
Yes.
And there's no way, Mike, there's no way to give a proxy to another board member or if, like, I can't be here for August, or I could, but it would mean that I don't go away on my first vacation in 7 years.
Call in.
I'm gonna be in Europe. It's gonna be after midnight.
Yeah, there's unfortunately, this is Mike Eckert for the record. Unfortunately, there's no exception in the law that allows you to appoint a board member for a day or for an interim period of time.
Is there any way that, given the information that district engineer is able to gather, that she could give, you know, on whatever timing she sees fit, being on vacation, to at least make her thoughts known to the board and have that come up, even if she's not here?
She can make it known to me and I'd be able to read that into the record, correct? She wouldn't be able to vote, but she could email me her thoughts on XX point, and then I could read that into the record to be considered.
Angel is correct.
Short
And-
of,
Okay, and I have a question for David. At the board meeting where you first presented the Five Oaks Drive version or option, we talked about putting that proposal on a diet. Has that been done yet?
Well, not yet, because we kind of went through it, we would think the county would request. So we will explore all those. I mean, they're kind of looking for that much detail with the lakefront, which we can't provide at this point. But yeah, if you decide to go instead of concrete to asphalt and things like that, yes, we can. But at this point, it's what we believe the county is looking for sufficient detail to make sure this thing fits within the setbacks, the number of parking spaces and things like that.
But the building is appreciably big, significantly bigger than the one that's proposed for the lakeshore. So that's another reason the cost is much considerably higher.
Well, as we discussed, I think 2 months ago, if you were doing a new facility, I think collectively as a board, we were talking about the bells and whistles to make this community center, you know, robust enough for future growth and staffing and having nice bathrooms and all that kind of stuff. So if it turns out that we just don't have the money at all, if you got to cut the building way back to something less appreciable for future growth or demands, then we'll do so. But the biggest thing right now is the site, the water, the sewer, the connection to the roadway, the setbacks and all those things, that they're okay with it.
Would this be our future meeting spot if we do?
No.
5 Oaks?
Unfortunately not.
I
Doubtful.
don't know that there's the kind of,
Are you just
there'd
kidding?
be parking and everything. Does,
I think because the board opted for cost purposes, just to make it strictly a storage maintenance facility.
And there is no parking there on the street.
Yeah, and not put any sort of utilities and any of that kind of stuff.
right, that, I mean, and I guess, David, maybe if you could, without adding too much to what you already have to figure out, but I'm guessing that the final size of the building, if we're talking about, scaling it, from whatever the size it can be to really fill the property versus if we were to scale it back to be closer to the smaller footprint at the lakeshore property, the cost is mostly being driven by all this new stuff, parking lot, foundation, utility cut-ins, all those are really what's going to drive the cost, and not are we talking about the building being 5 or 10% bigger or smaller? Would you agree with that? Or is there more?
It was more than
information you would need to-
10%.
I mean, there's a lot of things where, whether I agree or disagree that every time Jason's got to go to the bathroom, he's got to leave the building, cross the parking lot and go to the public restroom. If that's something you want your employees to have to do every day, or if we're actually going to do a nice, modern community maintenance facility that as Harmony continues to build out fairly soon and have higher demands for maintenance and things, if you want something that's more on a baby version of a public works facility, which is what I thought we were kind of going towards
We
2
want-
meetings ago.
Go ahead, David, you sold the floor.
But so, again, if the prices come in based on the county's request, we can start cutting back on what you want this facility to be. If you want it to be smaller, with or without the shed, we give up a couple parking spaces. Whatever the demand is, but right now we just got to get this thing moving in front of the county's technical review committee to start getting some feedback on if this is even a good option. And if they have big concerns with the lakefront option, on what might have to be done to bring it to what they think to be current standards, utilities, parking, landscaping, and things like that. Not to mention, they think it's all compatible with the playground and the neighborhood not too far away.
Copy all. Do we have any other questions for district engineer?
Well, I think he's
Oh,
not
sorry,
done. He has 3 other.
I apologize.
Number 2.
That's all right, Dan. Number 2, as you're aware, we're sitting on the contractor's retainage for the alleyway repaving. When Teresa gets back from vacation, I will schedule a walkthrough with her for alleyway C1 and C2. We'll develop a punch list, see what the contractor will do to clean that up, and then they'll either release or pay a portion of I think it's 34,000 or 44,000 we're sitting on at this point. Third thing is, now that we're heading into the heat of the summer fairly soon, not temperature wise, hurricane season wise, I will be doing my annual inspection of all the control structures throughout the community to make sure they're operational and working. So the unlikely event we do get another significant storm event, the ponds will work as designed and we will not have any flooding within the Harmony community. The other thing is, before I get to my change order number 1, I hope I didn't confuse the group on, and I know you voted on this, maybe I should just be quiet, on the reserve study. The way I read it is when you hired community advisors, I read their proposal, it was 10,000 to do a brand new reserve study and then 4,300 for a renewal the following year in 2025. I think the way you guys voted, are you just paying for the renewal of the prior person's work for 4,300?
Yes, and that's what I'm gonna call them and clarify, David, and make sure.
Because not everybody will take somebody else's work blindly without doing enough upfront work. So I would only caution that you went that route if they're comfortable with taking that on without their prior detailed takeoffs or site inspections. So.
Okay, thank you. And so we, might need to readdress that next month, sounds like, depending on.
I'll call
Right.
and talk to them and get the board.
Okay.
And last thing I have on the agenda for you guys to proceed with Angel's report is my change order number 1. We are 8 months into the fiscal year. We have expended plus some the $60,000 that was approved by the CDD back in September. We have 4 months left in this remaining fiscal year. And so we are respectfully requesting a $30,000 change order to get us through July, August, September, or yeah, July, August, September.
Fiscal year.
We've got this stuff with the county that we need to fix. We chose Pegasus. I think I can speak for the board. We've been very happy with the quality and diligence of the results of all the work you've done for us. Move to approve.
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
Just to clarify, this is just overlapping fiscal years or?
No, this is for the balance of this fiscal year. So they has a $60,000 budget. And now he's asking for an additional 50% because we have all this work with the county regarding the community maintenance facilities.
When we set the budget, we did not know we were going to need to with our backs against the wall, that we need to do something to address the maintenance, CDD office and, maintenance facility, which that's all the early work. That's all, David and his group. So
So that's originally how it works. If he goes over the budgeted amount, he presents a change order to the board.
Okay, I saw the not to exceed, so I'm just curious. All right.
Right. Well, if it's, 60 for, 2/3,
All right, there was more work being done.
But I have a question, David, are we anything into that 30,000 now?
Yes, we are roughly, let me pull my change order real quick. We are 9,900 into it.
So we're a third of the way through already. And we just have, we have July, August, September.
we're through
You're
July.
done July. You've got August and September.
Well, we haven't had his billing through the end of July yet.
Your billing you sent over, David, didn't include July?
That cost us through July 1st. So I got month of July,
Got it.
August and September.
But that kind of tracks with not to exceed 30 to get through the,
And
right.
And a big chunk of that, I'm not sure everybody knows, was there was a lot requested of us leading up to closing out the alleyway. There was a lot of going back a year and a half, going through emails, photographs, contracts. So right or wrong, that was requested of us to do that. So that was a big chunk of the overage towards the end. So
It's a big project. All right, if there's any further discussion, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed unanimously. Thank you, David. Do you have anything else to add?
thank you very much. And I will turn the microphone off and listen to Angel.
Angel, do you, going back to the agenda, we
You're
are
up
at
to supervisor.
supervisors requests.
Mhm.
Anything here at 8:57 PM?
I left my list at home. It'll have to wait till next month.
Have to wait until September.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you
Send
could-
it to
Well,
me.
I'll send it to you. Yeah.
Yeah, especially,
Yeah.
So I'm
Okay.
gonna put Carol's gonna send hers to.
I don't have anything that was already not covered in the rest of the meeting.
I move to adjourn.
I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We made it by 9 o'clock.
Thank you, everybody.
First time in a long time.
Thank you. The time-
Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.
This meeting.
She's turning that off, but he'll be turning this off. too.